Welcome to Royal Troon for the 152nd Open Championship, and welcome to Live at the Range. For the players, this is where it all begins. A chance to fine-tune their skills for the demands of links golf and to prepare for all the elements the Open may throw at you. This is the ultimate test of golf. The question is, who will lift the claret jug and be crowned champion golfer of the year?
Links land. The canvas on which our game was first drawn. Puss older than us all, steeped in heritage. It is timeless. Golfer against nature. A gust, a bounce, a downpour can dictate the challenges that await. One must not fight the elements, but instead show the character to embrace them. Those who can, just may, take the greatest walk in golf. The Open, forged by nature.
What an absolutely beautiful day here on the western coast of Scotland, and this is what they are all playing for. Delighted to be joined once again by Peter Finch. Pete, great to see you. Life does not get any better than this next to the claret jug on the range of the Open Championship. My goodness, how are you feeling right now?
To be honest, I'm feeling absolutely exceptional, as the very best weather that the west coast of Scotland can offer.
It's amazing.
Has
it's
descended
brilliant
on us.
weather. We're loving it.
I mean, the pros here, most of them are arriving today. There's a few here yesterday, but people who play in Scottish Open,
Yes.
heading over. And I think their expectations maybe rised a little bit too high because of this weather. As the week goes on, the weather is just going to continue to throw everything that it has at these players. So they're going to be getting every kind of contrastive weather condition possible.
That's what we love about the Open Championships, battle with the elements. And my goodness, what a brilliant storyline at the Scottish Open. Bob McIntyre taking his home championship. And he'll be coming here wanting to lift this. The names on here, my goodness, it's steeped in history. Don't forget, the last time that the Open Championship was held here was in 2016. Henrik Stenson was victorious. This is the 10th staging of the Open. We can go back to one of them being 1982. And I don't know if Kev, our cameraman, can zoom in and see Tom Watson picking up one of his 5 Open Championships. And slightly to the right of your screen, Mark Calcavecchia,
Yes.
another American winner. Americans love to come here and lift this trophy, don't they?
Yeah, he's sandwiched in between Ballesteros and Faldo, you know, one of the best European golf sandwiches you could possibly get there. But like every time the Open does come to Troon, it does seem to have a history of producing American winners. I think once you get out on the golf course, it's actually a very fair links.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans do struggle when they come over initially, certainly at Open courses, with the unfair bounces that you can get. But Troon is pretty much as you see it, which is probably why a lot of American players do succeed here.
Yeah, I just was looking at Todd Hamilton 2004, also Arnold Palmer, a winner of this event.
Absolutely.
The first Open Championship here was in 1923. Arthur Havers from Coombe Hill, the Englishman, victorious. Then we went on to 1950, the likes of Bobby Locke. Some of the pictures I've seen over the years and around the grounds, just so showing those historic dates, are simply marvellous. It's great to go down memory lane, isn't it?
It is, and it's probably one of the very best things about the Open and why the players enjoy coming back up here, because the history is just seeped into the ground here. And as you walk through the clubhouse as well at Troon, it just really hammers home that if you do win an Open and if you do win at Troon, you're going to be remembered long after you're gone. You know, you're going to echo through history if
Yes.
you do win this championship. And, you know, you get people like us stood here 100 years.
We'll never be
after you've
remembered,
won.
actually, Pete, but the names on here certainly will be. My goodness, it's boiling. It's about, I think, about 20, 21 degrees right now. Not much wind, and this is a classic links course, straight out and back, which a lot of traditionalists love. There is the weather forecast. The wind, hardly any. Sunny intervals, but bright sunshine right now. I do hope everybody's got their sunscreen on. Pete, have you got yours on?
Absolutely not. No.
I'll go and grab you some for sure.
Thank you.
This really is a true test of golf, and you were here a couple of weeks ago. I was here a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely gorgeous setup, and front nine, back nine, different challenges, but we want you to, we'll speak about the course in just a second, but we want you to get involved and be part of Live at the Range as much as possible. You can tweet us, or X's as it's known, at The Open using the hashtag The Open Range. We will read all of them. If you've got any questions for us, for our commentators, for our roving reporter George, or any of the players, then just send them in and we'll get through them. We'll create a debate, create storylines for this Open Championship, which promises to be absolutely brilliant. Golf at the highest standard over the next few days. So Pete, I just mentioned there the front nine, the back nine, different tests of golf. That back nine is absolutely brutal, isn't it?
I mean, one of the very best things about Troon is it is straightforward in its nature. You get out on that front nine, you try...
Yeah, the seal, the first opening tee shot, it looks pretty straightforward.
Honestly, the first nine, really, these guys, they're going to be wanting to get to 4 under, minimum. And then just hanging on for dear life as soon as you made the turn. Like, as soon as you hit 10, especially 11, the Railway is one of the hardest holes you're going to face in championship golf. And it's just heavy hit after heavy hit, and there's no real relief until you get to the 16th and a par 5, and that's not going to give up that many birdies. It's still a tricky hole. So if the wind blows as it's meant to off the sea, the back nine plays a lot into wind as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm just thinking everyone at home who wants to come and play this golf course, and those around wandering around watching all the players, if they were to stand on the 11th tee, the Railway hole, what would they be thinking? What would they be feeling? And what's your top tip on that hole?
I'm not going to lie, it's a bit too early to repeat what they'll be thinking properly, but as you stand on the back tee, which is 500 yards off the back, it's playing into wind, and off the championship tee, you can't see any of the hole. You're just looking at a wall of gorse.
Yeah.
But you know to the left there's more gorse, and you know to the right there's out of bounds and a train line. And if the wind is blowing into off the left, you just know that anything which is slightly out to the right is just going to get carried, it's going to go, and you're going to be looking at a 6. If you get a par on that hole, you literally skip to the next tee.
Okay. Skip and a jump. We can't forget that brilliant performance from Henrik Stenson back in 2016, the final round of 63. Phil had done it earlier in the week, but that battle between Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson a 65 on the last day. My goodness, he was keeping up with him, wasn't it? It was such a duel. Absolutely one of the historic moments in Open history.
For me, it was one of the best Opens in certainly modern history, just because you had two players who separated themselves from the field just by excellent golf. Managed to get a good draw, really, certainly in the last day when the wind died, so they could attack. But they were just so much better than everyone else, so, like, toe for toe. And then Stenson produced one of the best ball striking rounds ever. Like, with his 3-wood, especially with his irons. Like, he didn't miss a single shot. It was absolutely amazing to see. And this is the kind of course that will produce those moments of magic as well, because there are risks, there are rewards, and there is potential for a few kind of disasters as well. That's everything that you want. It's why I love this course. Yeah,
and you actually were pretty good on the postage stamp on the 8th. You have been in years gone by. Tell us how many birdies you've had.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
He's had about 7 birdies on the 8th.
I birdied it every time I played it, apart from the last time.
Well,
so it's fine. But thank you for letting me say that.
He's quite good. He's quite good. I'm going to big you up. It is glorious down here at the range. We're going to be here until 6 o'clock this evening. So much to bring you, so many storylines. But for now, let's get to our commentary team and join Simon Holmes. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning, Di. Good morning, Peter. I am joined by George Harper, who is not running around the golf course. Morning, George. What do you think?
Good morning, Simon. Great to be here. What a day it is, Monday of the Open Championship. The sun is shining and it just feels so special. Things are becoming real. The big dance is here.
It is. It is a different vibe. I know some of the guys have come across from Scotland this morning, cruising through, having played the Genesis. Amazing victory for Bob McIntyre. Congratulations for him. He will be on the driving range soon. There are the scenes. And it has a different buzz. You know, there's a bit of interaction. You can see some of the guys out there just getting ready for their first practice round. We were up really early, much earlier, and we can tell you that Tiger Woods, Justin Thomas and Max Homa were getting ready, and we can show you a little bit of the work that they were doing. This is the first prep on Monday. Have a look at this. So right around 7-ish, the big cat returned, George.
He certainly did. I actually got a bit of a fright this morning cruising into the car park, nearly ran him over. So that's when I knew I was at the Open. Tiger was here. So luckily for everyone out there, I did not. I was driving at a very reasonable and mature speed, so I just got to gaze out my window, and what a sight it was. Just even him getting out of the car is exciting, let alone him on the range.
Yeah, so we have some fantastic technology to kind of bring a little bit more data to you. This is provided to us by Top Tracer, kind of the leading guys, innovating company in launch data. This is ball data which we see here today. So the carry, just total carry, ball speed 134, launch is kind of just in degrees from the ground, which is sort of the 0 axis there. Apex is the total height, maximum height 93 feet, hang time, and the curve was 5 feet. I guess that one was pretty straight. So Tiger Woods is in the house. He has arrived. He did move pretty slowly. Looked as though just a little sort of like, almost like he's in slow motion.
Always seems a little bit ginger, doesn't he, when he's warming up, but he's just taking his time. Warm-ups are so important now, aren't they, for Tiger at his age? 22 Opens he's played at. There's so many when you say it out loud. 22 of them.
Yeah, there's almost like there's two periods. There's like golf before Tiger and golf after Tiger. BT and AT, and here it is. Let's have a look and see what he's doing here. So 138 ball speed, 208. I would say this is a 6-iron.
Yeah.
It's back. So this is just a warm-up. He's going to go and play with Justin Thomas, who was right next to him, and Max Homa, who came a little later. Let's see if we can see what he was doing. He was working with his son on a little bit kind of lower and closer hands at impact. So kind of trying to stay a bit in posture. He absolutely hates that. So wipe out. So that's the one, that's the shot that he hates. That's what he calls that little sort of stuck bleeder, where that grip just arrives in first. He can't square the face up. So let's see if he can correct that.
Glove looks a bit small for him.
Yeah.
It's not often they miss 2 in a row, is it, Simon?
No, he's amazing. He's always been amazing at sort of calibrating his game. I think that's why he's won globally so many different events. He's like no one dimension so much. You know, golf is, you know, everyone loves, mathematicians love straight lines. Golfers never play in straight lines. Everything is a curve. Everything is using the conditions, using the contours, using the wind, especially at the Open Championship, you know. It is forged in nature. That's kind of our tagline. And, you know, straight lines don't work out here. You've got to be able to work it around. Look at that footwork. Just kind of moving the weight forward into that left heel. So that's the one he hates. That's going to be lost to the right. So he's just trying to feel that club a little lower, a little closer, not to get the grip arriving too much ahead of the head. Let's have a look, see if he adjusts.
Playing some big cuts there, but for some people, or a lot of people, especially in this part of the world, they didn't get to see Tiger Woods last year at Royal Liverpool. So he's not only returned, but he's returned to the Open after a big hiatus. So it is a true pleasure to see him back on the links. And you've also got to wind back the clock a little bit. St Andrews miscut, Royal Port Russia miscut. So it's been a while since we've seen him light it up. I was there at Carnoustie, my first ever Open Championship, and it was the atmosphere was electric. Tiger leading into the back 9 before a very naughty 11th hole, but I don't want to go into that. But just to see him lighting up the world stage back then. But since, it's been a long time.
Yeah, well, Tiger's here. So if you can make the trip up, it's going to be a fantastic week. Come and join us at the 152nd Open. Now, let's see what Tiger's got here. That looks like a little fairway wood. It's interesting, you know, you come from America where you're basically playing like high launch and, you know, you're kind of just playing numbers, whereas that's not at all the case here. We've seen the manufacturers coming out. Justin Thomas's manufacturer was out working with him this morning. Henry and Liam supporting the players. All the manufacturers have their equipment stands in big, huge, amazing buses just behind the driving range. And there is a lot of final tweaking and adjustments, George, getting the bag ready for this. It's a different challenge. Probably the most important guy this week, or the guy who's having the most questions, is the weather forecaster.
Yeah, I was actually on the range yesterday with Tiger as well, with this exact club, the 3-wood, and the weight had just come out of it. So I guess if you want to go into detail and look at to the back of the club, the weight and the screw had just clipped out, and I remember him giving it to his caddy and rushing to one of the tailor-made helping hands, and he was a nervous boy.
Yeah.
He did not want to stuff that 3-wood up. So there's so much, I guess, adjustments made on the go here, on the fly, whether they even take the 3-wood out. A lot of players will take the 3-wood out and be using the driving irons throughout the week. So this is where the Open and links golf creates such a difference. You know, the only major to be played outside the US. So I don't know about you, but this one really gets me excited.
Well, you can tell, you know, there's a different buzz on the driving range, and it's Monday morning. So there's a seriousness. Even you can see that it's head down, it's a caddies. The Open has an authentic competition which is unlike any other competition in the world of golf. It is the standard of our game. The R&A are the organization that kind of host our sport. They've got fantastic archive of material which you are most welcome to have a look at. So if you want to know where we came from, go to that archive and look back in history. Tiger Woods drops the ball. That's pretty rare.
And Simon, you notice this is very early in the morning, and look at that, Tiger is sweating up a storm. So the Scottish weather certainly hasn't arrived just yet. Absolutely stunning. Yesterday was warm, today is beautiful, but I'm sure that won't last too long throughout the week.
You never know. I mean, that's one of the things that is a twist. You know, I remember Tiger at Muirfield when Els won. He just got absolutely exploded off the golf course in a storm which came off and shot an 80 and you know, highest score. So let's have a look. Tiger Woods moving. I think probably a little bit more lateral motion in there, probably still just favoring the back. And you can see with our top tracer technology, we can bring you every single detail. So this is us on the 6th hole. This is Turnberry. It's been extended about 40 yards. I was out there yesterday pounding around with Peter Finch, having a look at it.
Well, that's the unique thing about Troon. Not only do they have the shortest hole of all Open venues with the postage stamp, the 8th hole, which will at some point, I believe, come down to 99 yards. They also have the longest hole, so they've got it all here at Troon.
Yeah, this is like a runway par 5, the 6th. It is playing this week at 623 yards. Two massive bunkers off the tee there. There you go. So that's, I think that's going to be the landing area. It just depends on the weather. We were out there, players pretty aggressive, kind of taking on some of the bunkers. The bunkers this week, just so you know at home, they are one-shot penalties. The fescue rough, we were out there, George, I was out there with you. It's pretty juicy. It isn't sort of like, it's not a burnt out Open venue this year. It's obviously been sort of cold and wet. It probably sort of kept raining since we were in Royal Lytham last year, George, so it is pretty moist out there, but it's a juicy rough, and you're going to see a lot of guys, you know, just hacking out sideways. You've got to take your medicine.
Yeah, the course is looking simply beautiful. It's had that combination of quite a lot of moisture, but also not too much rain, where it does get nice and green, and it's not the burnout. You know, you look back to St Andrews a few years ago where it was just hissing along the fairways, and you could pretty much pull a 6-iron off every tee if you wanted. So there are going to be a few holes where your tee shots don't run out as much as you'd have in the past Opens. So
let's see what Tiger's trying to feel there. Just feels like maybe just coming through a little late, that club tucked underneath him behind. So just watch his hips here, just loads and then drops and posts. See where his belt buckle is. It's absolutely miles to the left of the target. So Tiger's swing has changed a lot There's his shot. That's an off the tee shot. So on the 6th hole, that's Turnberry. That's our runway par 5. You're kind of going to get a bit of scoring. You try to probably get your score set by you've played the 7th and then hang on, I think, George.
Yeah, correct. The prevailing wind traditionally here at Troon goes straight up from behind you on the first tee. So the first 6 holes are going to be downwind for the majority of the week. So you've got to make hay at the start of your round, because by the end of it, you're going to have to cling on.
On the tee. She's staring this one down, and for good reason. Look at this. Just delightfully done. She's on top of the world. Going directly at the hole. Only what? Go on. Oh, get in there.
There's something about the AIG Women's Open.
Oh, my goodness.
There's no way I should be here. I should be dead or in prison. I mean, how else would you gauge this? And a guy comes off of a cotton farm, you know, to become one of golf greats? Are you kidding me?
He hit the flagstick, and the crowd erupts.
He just stormed onto the scene.
And he has put it in again.
He's a magician.
He's got it.
I never had any dreams about going on tour. I didn't know anything about it.
His story's amazing. His journey's amazing.
What a great shot.
We were poor. We needed money to buy food.
Beat Rufino, a 28-year-old drug broke.
Didn't belong. I knew I didn't belong.
It was unbelievable.
And he put up with a lot. That past is so painful to him.
I would like to forget it, to tell you the truth.
Our culture has a short memory. I think it's time for us to be reintroduced to the Camino.
I'm playing for my life out here, you know?
It is the American dream.
Why, oh, why?
He hustled the world.
We are watching Tiger Woods. It is Monday morning of the 152nd Open Championship, and we are at Royal Troon, the Big Cat, teeing off early, and we got some of his action. So on the left side, we have got his top tracer stats. Tiger just going through a few final drives before he heads out onto the range. So George, he was out, Tiger, smile on his face this morning. Soaking wet, isn't he? Absolutely dripping. I was, you know, I had a little jumper and a jacket on.
Well, you're not out there pounding golf balls down the range all morning, but in his later years, his sweat levels have risen. I don't know if that's an age thing, Simon. I'm a bit too young to know about this, but mate, he's precipitating a lot. But that just shows how beautiful it is here in Scotland. I don't know about you, but the weight of a nation, it's woken up eerily calm here in Scotland. I don't know if that's got anything to do with the football results last night, but everyone seems in a pretty good mood. The weather's in a good mood, and it's just a tremendous atmosphere here on a Monday at the Open.
George Harper getting his first yellow card of the week, mentioning the football scores. So Tiger Woods is out on the golf course. This was earlier this morning. He was out there with Justin Thomas and a late arrival of Max Homa. Now final adjustments. It's interesting, you know, so in the US, obviously, where it's sort of just launch it and hit all of your numbers, you know, you see a lot of interaction. So Tiger probably just squaring that face up, taking perhaps a tiny bit more loft on it, closing the face down. It'll be interesting to see.
Amazing how much technology goes in to these golfers' games, and then funnily enough, he just turns a screw and fixes it himself after all that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I think that if you don't have the support of the manufacturers, you're not going to appear. So let's have a look. So Tiger Woods' footwork inside of that right foot takes the pressure, transfers across, and then really posts hard into that left heel. It's more balanced. It's less violent than it used to be. It's more, the levels are more stable. There's still a little drop down of the hips into that left side and then pushing up off the ground. But for me, sort of more chest and hips working together as opposed to that big separation that we used to see. And that's just the back problems, just surviving these leg and back injuries. So magic hands of Tiger Woods.
He will need those magic hands, no doubt. Look at that. 22 starts, 3 wins. And they came in 2000, 2005, and 6. So he went on a little hot streak. And during that 2000 Open, that was the one time where he held all 4 majors as well, which was a truly special year in golf.
Yeah, so we can take Tiger Woods' shot. We're putting him on the 6th hole at the moment, so we're sort of taking the range to the course. That's the whole purpose of this week. Oh, he's going to love that one if he could just keep it out of the bunkers. The bunkers are absolutely massive, and just to let you know, that bunker there is 322 off the tee, the second bunker on the left, and the bunkers are 1-shot penalties.
Simon, since we've been tuned in, I haven't seen him miss many fairways here on the 6th.
You know what? If you think about when we last saw him at Pinehurst, I thought he played pretty well in the US Open. I really did. I didn't think he putted that well, which was the kind of the weird thing, right? But he was pretty good. So hopefully, if he gets a good draw, and hopefully, if he can putt well on the weekend, the big cat is a part of the 152nd Open Championship.
It's just time at the wheel, isn't it? And to be honest, out of all US Opens, that's as linksy as a US Open will get at Torrey Pines, wasn't it? Sorry, at Pinehurst. So for him to be, I guess, playing it well, finding those fairways, hopefully we can see some more of that this week, because back in the day when Tiger was in form, all he needed was irons off the tee. Just needs to get the ball in the game, so his distance isn't a huge factor here, hopefully, this week.
Let's have a look at that. So 177 probably is the PGA Tour's average ball speed. And so Tiger, I would say, is just having a Monday morning, kind of just moving through the gears. But nevertheless, you can see 115 foot of apex. That's a little higher than normal. The launch is really important. So it's kind of high launch, low spin. And you can just see, let's have a look here. Did he get to 300? 297 carry. So probably around here, George, out of like a 330 shot?
Yeah, that'll run out nicely. Now, Simon, for the launch and for, I guess, the apex as well, we saw Tiger adjusting his driver earlier. Will they adjust that day by day? Let's say the wind picks up tomorrow. Will he maybe knock it down a few degrees tomorrow?
It's a really interesting question. I mean, you would think not, right? You would think in play you wouldn't, but they're so used to moving around. So, you know, they can look at different club faces and stuff, which I think is a new skill. Like old generation couldn't really adjust very quickly. Because technology moves so fast, one of the skills you have to have now as a tour player is to be able to move around and have the technology be maximized for the thing that you're trying to do, not sort of as a liability where that puts the pressure on you to adjust.
Beautifully said.
Tiger warming down now, just cooling off.
You'll be able to hear over ground a lot of airplanes this week. There's an airfield very close, Prestwick Airport, and you have so many amazing planes cruising over from the Air Force, and obviously a few PJs popping in this week as well.
So 145 carry, I would say, for Tiger. That is probably his pitching wedge.
And right on the 152 yard marker.
Yeah, if Tiger knew, we have that. So HSBC and the RNA celebrating together the 152nd So Tiger with his brother, as he says, JT, trying to work around a few different moves. Tiger almost looked like he was giving JT a little lesson. I think this was the point here.
He is moving in slow-mo, isn't he? He's almost...
It's like he's in like he's in toffee, isn't he? It's like he's in slow-mo, yeah. So,
well, you know, JT,
they had a little chat about JT's driver, which was just kind of bleeding out high and right.
He's got something to work with after the Scottish Open, starting the week with a 62. But then wasn't able to back it up, shooting 72, 71 and 71. So there are some signs there for JT. We know he hasn't been in the career best form over the last 18 months or so, but there was something found. Can Tiger maybe spur him on to get a hint of that back this week?
Yeah, you have a sense very much that they are really sort of trying to support each other. So this was kind of coming to the end of Tiger's range session before he was out on the golf course yesterday. He teed off at 8 o'clock today. If you are out there, Tiger Woods is probably now an hour and a half into his game. He'd be probably around, I would say, the 6th or 7th. Maybe even the postage stamp.
Yeah, you'll be making that part of the turn. My favourite part of the course almost. You know, you go from 6th, great par 5, the longest par 5 in the open venues, and then the 7th is such a cute little dog leg,
I like, that's
everywhere.
my favourite, 7-8.
Yeah, and it's like the elevated tee, so you come down, you get a great view. And as a spectator, if you are down here this week, I highly recommend getting to that part of the course, because then you cruise into the 7th green and it's got its own dunes. It's almost like a little coliseum in there where the green narrows out, and then you walk up to the postage stamp and it's absolutely amazing. But look at this.
So that is the fireworks show of Tiger Woods' range session before his tee time with Justin Thomas. So you can see there, white cap just going through a few wedges. They were joined by Max Homa, who arrived very late. Don't know if he was spending a little bit more time on the putting. Two great shot makers, those two guys. Tiger Woods, what condition, what physical condition? It's not about his game, it's his physical condition. It's sort of, you ask a different question. It's like, God, can he make 2 days? Will he get the 2 days?
I know. I'm almost getting to the point of, Tiger, we need to change the record a bit here. I'm done with talking about the body. I just want to see you make some putts. I want to see you play some golf now.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah, it is.
We need it.
It is an amazing career, isn't it? What he's done in the game, what he's done for the game. And now he is back to the place where the game began. The Open, hosted by the R&A, and magic will be made here over the next week. This is the place, the spotlight of the world's golfing fans is on one place.
As he goes off to the range. See you later, Tiger Woods.
So there we go, Tiger Woods on the range today. This was his total of his warm-up. Only 58 shots, so it really was just a warm-up. You can see what we can do with our top tracer, so we can count all of those different elements. The ball speed, the carry, the apex, that's the height, lowest and highest. Launch in degrees from the ground. The hang time, 7.3, it's long, isn't it?
Yeah.
The largest curve, 100 feet. That must have been a real kind of like sliding driver.
That's probably a stat Tiger doesn't want us to see.
That's right.
That
So
1-1-1, call the cops. But
it was short and quick.
27 minutes, that is short, isn't it?
Yeah. So it'd be really, really interesting to see, does he come back after the round? Will he play 18?
I can't visualise him playing 18, but he is down for the back 9 as well. But 27 minutes. I find that quite short. Simon, do you ever get to the point where you think, oh, I've got a long time at the range here, and then all of a sudden you're late for your tee time?
It's funny. I think, you know, everyone has their own way to prepare. Tiger has always put in a lot of time before he gets here, and then once he's here, it's all about the competition and what he's going to do to win. So Tiger Woods was out with Max Homa and Justin Thomas, and if I was here on the property and I was a golf fan, that is the group I would be following without any question. So the big cat is out there. We are Monday of the 152nd Open. The magic has begun. So that's the driving range, George. It's going to be a super, super busy place.
Always a very busy place. As the week goes on, more and more people flood in. All the players have their posses, their group of friends, family, manufacturers, managers. They're all floating around, and then the crowd fills up that grandstand. It's arguably one of the more enjoyable spots to sit if you do get the chance to actually just relax in one seat and watch someone at the range and really get to see what they're doing with the golf ball.
Yeah, no, you can't miss it. That is the place. It's going to be really interesting to see.
The great thing about Troon this year, and so many open venues, the setup is varied, but right here you can see in the far right corner of the screen is the players' facilities. But why not just get straight out there and go to the postage stamp? The famous 8th hole, the par 3. This is as good as it gets. The shortest hole of all open venues, and this year it's got the most technology we've ever had on it, so we're going to have so much statistics, so many different angles to deliver to you this year.
Yeah, huge grandstand, almost like an L-shaped grandstand, so that is a fantastic place. You can be out on the key elements, just that little horseshoe of golf there. And then here are the scenes from the driving range.
So as I was mentioning before the postage stamp popped up, this is where the players cruise in. They enter through that tent there, and they've got their brand new player facilities just coming into your screen now. And it's so handy to the range. And then to the first tee is only a short drive. So everything at Troon is at this end of the course. It's also easy to access, simple to get around, which is actually quite a big thing for if you've been to golf tournaments, if you've been to majors. Time between locations is quite valuable, especially if you're a golfer.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of mapping your time. You know, it's such a mental process. You know, you have to be able to, I mean, that's one of the things probably Tiger did better than anyone else, is like he almost could slow down time. He could control time. You know, time didn't happen to him. He imposed himself upon time. And that was one of his amazing skills, just the mental part of his game. So here you can see preparation on day one. Keegan Bradley, Ryder Cup captain, in the brown shirt and the pants. Fascinating galleries just starting to come in. So down there on the driving range is Di Stewart. Di, what have you got for us?
Thank you very much, Simon. Yeah, glorious sunshine, just to highlight that once again, because we're all a little bit surprised here and dashing to get the sun cream. But it's building here on the range. Players are coming down, and we do have the United States Ryder Cup captain, Keegan Bradley, behind us. Pete, it was announced, what, a couple of weeks ago, a week and a half ago?
Yeah.
What's your reaction to Keegan's announcement as captain of the American side for the next Ryder Cup?
To be honest, odd. It was quite strange. I think Tiger had the chance to potentially take that role. He turned it down, and then the US Ryder Cup committee came around and picked Keegan. Now, Keegan's not been a vice captain before. He was obviously controversially not picked for the Ryder Cup in Rome, which I think he was expecting and many people were expecting him to go to. Obviously, from a US point of view, it wasn't the best Ryder Cup they ever had. It was pretty acrimonious in the end. And I don't know if they've kind of selected Keegan as having a little bit more of a calming effect, like he should have gone. But he's already mentioned that he wants to try and be player captain. Now, that's not happened since Arnold Palmer. We're talking a long stretch of time
1963.
I mean, that's a hell of a chunk of time to go in between having that type of setup. Now, potentially he might not be able to play his way onto the team. Will he pick himself? All these kind of questions.
He said he'll only if he automatically qualifies.
Which I think, yeah,
you can't really. I'm going to play. I'm going to be captain. But it's an interesting dynamic. It creates lots of buzz, doesn't it? Lots of different storylines. But for him, he says he wants to devote a year of getting to know his peers and then really concentrate on that captaincy. It's such a huge appointment, and considering, as you highlighted, he narrowly missed out in the last one.
It is. I mean, it's a huge appointment in many different respects, because you've not only got a job of bringing together a team of a lot of people
different personalities.
It's a big mix of personalities, and now it's a big mix of players across different tours as well.
Yeah.
So you have this whole smorgasbord of different people coming together.
Which is a great word, by the way.
You're welcome. It's really early for that, by the way, isn't it?
He's throwing that one in there.
That was a strong coffee I must have had. And everybody coming together for this purpose under a captain who, not a lot of them know that well. So it's an interesting appointment. Obviously, we won't know how it goes until it all kicks off.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to see if he'll be ready for a chat at some point, actually, because this is what we like to do at Live at the Range. Obviously, speak to as many players as we can, and coaches and caddies. We're going to grab a couple very soon. Don't forget to be interactive with us. You can tweet us, X's, at The Open, using the hashtag The Open Range. If you've got any questions about Keegan Bradley possibly as the next Ryder Cup captain, what do you think about him wanting to be a player and, I was going to say head coach. My brain's gone. Captain.
Play captain.
Excuse me.
Play captain.
It is. Can I have that coffee that you just mentioned?
Absolutely.
But do send them in. Hashtag The Open Range. The Twitter address is at The Open. So many different talking points. We're going to take a little wander down here, but also we have a QR code which you can do a little screenshot on, which is coming on your screen in just a moment. And this means if you scan this, you get to enter the ballot for the 153rd Open Championship, which is at the glorious Royal Portrush. Shane Lowry will be heading back there where he won, of course, in 2019. And the dates are the 13th to the 20th of July. So just scan this QR code, get involved. How brilliant to get a ticket via the ballot, Pete. Have you ever done that? You've been invited. VIP, aren't you?
I have been lucky enough to be strolling around the range at the last few Opens, so I've not needed to, which has been fantastic. But I think, for me, I love an Open in Scotland. I think that, for me, is like the pinnacle. But next up is Northern Ireland.
Sensational.
The last Open at Portrush was, I think, for many people, spectators and fans, was one of the most enjoyable experiences that they've had.
Yeah,
so
great stuff. We saw Shane on the practice ground yesterday with his daughter Iris, having a brilliant time. Great to get the young girls involved in golf. I'm a great advocate for that. Okay, for now, we're going to take a walk down and find some more storylines for you. Don't forget to tweet us as well using the hashtag The Open Range. And for now, let's get back to commentary. Enjoy, Simon.
Thank you so much, Di. Yes, Keegan Bradley. I wonder if that's not a really good choice. I'm thinking, you know what, it's a surprising choice, but it's a good choice. Super passionate player, knows, he was in university around that place, he knows the courses. He kind of breaks that kind of mold of well, I'll do this one, you do that one, Freddie, Davis, bum. I think it's a good change. And you needed to change something, George. What was happening in the US wasn't working. Their talent doesn't show itself. So there we go. World number 19, very much a player.
Yeah, well, that's something you can't sniff your nose at. 19th in the world. He has earned the right to be thereabouts, and he really has played under the radar almost. So to now be Ryder Cup captain is pretty extraordinary, and yeah, I reckon he's in for a chance still to make qualification.
I think he's feisty. I think he could bring the right missing piece for the US team. But anyway, we will see. Anyway, let's focus on his He arrives here as a golfer, so let's focus on that. So we have got top tracer technology. That is in this case, following the ball data. The whole of the range is live. Amazing scenes. We can really bring you what Keegan is working on. That's kind of sort of like a little driving iron, I would say. That's a new addition this week, George.
Yeah, this could be the most important club in his bag, couldn't it?
Yeah, the bunkers are absolutely brutal. So you have to, when you're watching this week, you have to calculate that the reason the players are chatting to their caddies so much, especially when it gets windy, is they're really trying to figure out how to avoid the bunkers. Bunkers are a one-shot penalty, like little water hazards, and sometimes even worse. So short sleeve shirts today at the first day of the 152nd Open at Royal Troon. You would never, ever have thought that. It feels to me as though it's been raining since we left Royal Liverpool in the UK. Anyway, golfers are intrepid, George.
They certainly are. This will almost give them a false sense of security. Practice rounds in the calm, and then the wind will pick up on Thursday and give everyone a bit of a kick up the bum.
So, Keegan Bradley. He's got an unusual routine, his posture, like he's long and lanky, isn't he? Just chatting with one of his pals there. Long legs, long arms. Used to do kind of there's a little baby spin of the club there. It's like, I think it's the only player who's got so much moving parts before he goes.
He's like Virat Kohli before batting. He's fidgeting, he's moving all the time.
So,
but he has got long limbs, doesn't he?
A lot of kind of hip flex. He needs a lot of knee flex to kind of get down to it. Watch how his hips rise. Boom, up through the ball. So it's kind of like if Tony Finau's got a bit of that. If you can kind of see that in there, George. Hips kind of squat and then rise up through the ball, and it's that kind of using. So he's looking at our top tracer technology to get a free ride on how that shot performed, like what was the height, what was the carry, just trying to calculate, you know, like what are the conditions. So there it is. He was looking at our big scoreboard, checking his time.
So, Simon, this 3-wood isn't going much further than that driving iron.
No.
Not much further.
No, so maybe there's a question over which one he takes out.
Yeah, I can't see him picking both of them.
So Keegan Bradley is at the moment going to play with Scotsman Ewan Ferguson. That's at 10:10. So he was just checking his time. He's got 20 minutes to go. So let's have a look at this. Up through those legs. So really rising through that left side. Trying to post up through that left side. And then you can see he's just checking out what you're checking out. 253 carry. So now it's a question of, well, those kind of go the same. What do I do now?
I think that's exactly what they are talking about. Got a natural little draw with that 3-wood.
2 clubs to go the same. Maybe the other one was a bit lower apex. That's 110. So Keegan Bradley, a little driving.
There's no way I should be here. I should be dead or in prison. I mean, how else would you gauge this? And a guy comes off of a cotton farm, you know, to become one of golf greats? Are you kidding me?
He hit the flagstick, and the crowd erupts.
He just stormed onto the scene.
And he has put it in again.
He's a magician.
He's got it.
I never had any dreams about going on tour. I didn't know anything about it.
His story's amazing. His journey's amazing.
What a great shot.
We were poor. We needed money to buy food.
Beat Rufino, a 28-year-old broke.
Didn't belong. I knew I didn't belong.
It was unbelievable.
And he put up with a lot.
That past is so painful to him.
I would like to forget it, to tell you the truth.
Our culture has a short memory, and I think it's time for us to be reintroduced to the Camino.
I'm playing for my life out here, you know?
It is the American dream.
Why, oh, why?
He hustled the world.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? In 10 years, I see myself making partner at this firm has been sold. What? To who?
some multinational outlets.
Dubai, where it's 7 a.m. and the temperature is very warm.
Welcome, Viv. This is Ben. Anything you need to know, he's your
lawfully wedded husband in good times and in
total chaos. Viv, what time are we expecting twins?
Life is rarely a straight line. Wherever it takes you, HSBC can help.
So we are live at the range. That is Keegan Bradley, number 19 in the world, and announced recently as the new US Ryder Cup captain, to a lot of surprise, I would say, George.
A lot of surprise. Left field selection, but something needed to change, as you said, Simon. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes about it. Will he pick himself? Will he qualify himself? World number 19 at the moment, and although he is in good form and he's had a resurgence over the last year or so, it's hard not to look at his Open Championship record over the last 4 years, and they all read miscuts. So it'll be so interesting to see how he goes now he's inside the top 20 in the world, playing better golf. Can he make the weekend? Can he push on and, I guess, adapt to links golf?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think he was one of those guys who were really penalised by the anchor ban. Do you remember that? He all the way through college, he was anchoring. He won the USPGA anchoring. Then he was, you know, you've spent, let's suppose, 10, 15 years investing your time and your feel into that, and then the club is banned, and you've got to find a solution. And he didn't adapt that well. I think that was difficult for him.
Well, you look at Adam Scott over the weekend at the Scottish Open. He's gone back, and obviously not anchoring, but he's gone back to that old faithful. Is that something Keegan Bradley could look into?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So Keegan Bradley just going through. It looks as though he's got like kind of probably 4 different woods and a driving iron, and he's just trying to figure out exactly what's the best combination. This is the driver. So just probably taking quite a bit of kit out onto the golf course. There's probably 3 or 4. Yeah, you can sort of see that looks more like a kind of like a flower pot of head covers than it does a golf bag. So there's definitely 3 or 4 different woods and irons going out there. And the reason for that is the crosswinds. You know, you want to flight the ball down. That's not something you really think about in the US. You know, just launch it and let it go. But not at the Open, not on this exposed piece of turf. Absolutely hated that. So
Keegan's best finish at the Open comes at Muirfield 2013, where he was tied 15th. So he's had 3 top 20s is all we can really speak of. So links golf doesn't seem to be his best friend.
No. So here we go on the right side of your screen. That is our Top Tracer technology. That is brought to you this week by Rolex, who's a fantastic sponsor of golf. We are always super thankful to Rolex and their commitment to our game. But Top Tracer allows you to really kind of see a lot more of data, and data has entered. There it is. That is the flower pot. That is the golf bag of Keegan Bradley.
So he's got 2 different shafts and what looks to be 2 different heads on those 3 woods as well. So very different clubs, albeit for a similar role.
I think if you're going to do well on this golf course, you really are going to have to drive the ball well. You know, the rough is juicy, the bunkers are 1 shot's penalty, and getting it exactly right. So Monday, he's got a few days to get it sorted out. So, final sort of shots of Keegan Bradley's range session. Just, I would say, more focused on just trying to get the driver 3-wood and a driving iron possibly as a combination there, George. Just figuring out what he's going to do when it does get windy, and it will.
Well, we're talking about the top end of the golf bag with the long irons and the drivers and 3-woods. What happens at the bottom end? What do you do with your wedges out here on the links turf? Because I guess some occasions you could maybe drop a wedge to bring in an extra driving iron, or vice versa. What's your sort of stance on that, Simon?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, links ground really is pretty firm. You know, the ball doesn't really sit on the lush grasses as it does in the US. So it doesn't sit up, it sits down. The ball sits on the ground, not up in the air. And so the bounce is probably one of the things that you'd think about. You know, the sand here is heavy. Link sand is heavy and it's deep. So you don't kind of ricochet it off a hard base as you do in the US. So that's a really good question. I think, you know, adapting is one of the things that players have to do. And you come from, not to say that the US golf is one-dimensional, but this is not a Masters warm-up where you're just hitting numbers and everything's very much in front of you. There are 4 or 5 different key factors that have got to be calculated. So shot making, you know, and one of the things is, you know, this is not straight line golf. You have to be creative. You have to be able to adapt and ride those waves and ride those curves. I mean, that's going to be an important part. So Keegan Bradley heads out, and hopefully we'll have a chat with him later on. Oh, how about that? That's a familiar looking swing. 2004.
But almost unfamiliar visually. I couldn't believe it was Todd Hamilton. Look at that. Good to see him back.
Now, innovation, you talk about innovation needed at the Open. He was the first guy that I'm aware of who came over and started chipping round the links courses here with sort of like a hybrid. And he used to play in Japan a lot, where you've got that kind of heavy, hard grass, and he's very grainy, and he just wasn't able to cope with that. So he kind of got like problems with his chipping. And he figured out, as an innovation in the game, you know, like Sarazen had his wedge, he's a part of Troon. Todd Hamilton had started chipping with a hybrid, like a running club, and you know where he got him? Got him to become champion golfer of the year. So there he is. Great to see him, part of Troon's history, part of the Open history. Just working it out in his shorts.
I love the look. He looks like he's just popped up from Club Champs around the corner and found himself on the range at the Open.
Yeah, let's see what he does. We can relate to this. So,
oh, it's outstanding.
Maybe not quite as flexible as he was. Kind of rotating and holding, little baby fade there.
That's where the Open is so special.
Yeah,
bringing back their past champions, so much history. The first Open was played in 1860, so it's golf's original major, and that's what it's all about, respecting and remembering our past champions. And, well, Todd Hamilton, he's back on the front doorstep of where he made some magical memories.
Yeah, incredible playoff with Els. I was at that event. It feels like a long time ago. So 150 carries. That may be like a little 8-iron. Just cruising through.
So looking back to his glory days of 2004 to become the champion golfer of the year, he shot rounds of 71. 67, 67 and 69. So a relatively tough Open Championship. But as you can see, 67, 67 in rounds 2 and 3, that's what really gets you moving up the leaderboard.
So Todd is getting ready for an 11 o'clock tee time today. He's going out with Lucas Glover. Old friends. So couple of 7-irons, a couple of drivers, maybe a little snack, have a stretch, put some proper trousers on, and off he goes.
Well, there's no shortage of snacks around here on campus as well. Fantastic array of all sorts. Your killie pies, your mac and cheese pies in the players' lounge. Probably not a breakfast option, Simon. I don't know how you traditionally start your day before a round of golf, but...
full English. Anyway, so still a little bit of speed there. 151 ball speed. I'm going to give him like 100 miles an hour club head speed here. No, a little bit more maybe. The low fade. Yeah, that is like a Rory McIlroy. I'm going to give Rory McIlroy's 5-iron there. No, maybe 4-iron. So, Todd, a couple of Advils, Pepto-Bismol, and off he goes.
Well, those little cuts, that's all you need on the first couple of holes here to get your round underway. Wind off the slightly behind you off the right, just nudge a little fade, run it up there, and you'll still have a little half wedge into the first.
238 carry, you're not going to get it on the fairway on the 6th. That's 254 carry. And then what do you do on 11, which is the meanest hole in golf? Pounding left to right wind, scary. Blind, a forest of gorse all the way up the left and out of bounds right. Just a scary hole. Anyway, Todd Hamilton, he did definitely make some magic, and it is great to see him heading back there.
Relatively consistent fade there. It's a flat carry of 238. Looking relaxed. Enjoying the day out. You can see on the screens behind him there is the...
So, we have got really interesting sort of new data, George. So we've got the slab, but now check this out. Top tracer, we have got from down the line the flight of the ball, so you can see the launch, you can see the launch angle, see the curve from behind. That is our new innovation for 2024.
We love it. It's great to see every year building and building upon the tech side, and we get to see this on the golf course quite a lot throughout the coverage, but to have it right behind them on the range, it's going to give us such good perspective and on all their shots as they warm up. There we go. Past champions at Troon. We've mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but if you're just joining us, Henrik Stenson created history in 2016. What a shootout that was with Phil Mickelson. 20 under par, the first ever to reach 20 under par at the time. And Phil was 17 under, but then the rest of the field... it was a secondary leaderboard, wasn't it, Simon, with JB Holmes at 6 under?
Yeah, I think it's because of Phil Mickelson. I think he was such a gambler. He just went off and he never stopped, right? So he was the one for me that separated him. And Stenson's such a scrapper. He's an amazing match player, Stenson. He just got into a match play with Stenson and just fought him out. And for me, it was the catalyst for the massive scoring rush was Mickelson's style of play. He was the guy who separated those two guys, and amazing that he played so well and lost. Stenson just hit the ball every single place he needed to and proved he was the Iceman.
Yeah, I can't wait. I might be in the commentary booth right now, but I will be your man on the ground throughout the week. So later on, over the next few days, I'm going to hunt Henrik down and hopefully walk the 18th with him and go through those great memories.
So we are always backwards and forwards, and we'll head down to the driving range with Di Stewart.
Thank you, Simon. I've really enjoyed listening to you. We have managed to find a stalwart of the DP World Tour over the years, Gonzalo Fernandez Castaño, who I remember interviewing, my goodness, 15, 17 years ago. He's won 6 times on the DP World Tour. He's now caddying. We often see this, don't we? Players caddying. He's caddying for Luis Masaveo. I've just spoken to him, and that is the correct pronunciation. Playing in his first Open Championship. Pete, should we try and grab a quick word with them? Gonzo, how are you? You're caddying for Luis Masaveo. Luis, can you come over? Is that all right? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Can you pronounce it for us?
Masaveo, Luis.
There we go, Luis. Well, obviously, I don't have the Spanish twang, but oh my goodness, gents, wonderful to see you here. I must just say, Pete and I are commiserating. This is Pete.
Okay. Hi.
Luis, we're commiserating because England lost the football. How are you feeling about a double Spanish victory yesterday, Carlos Alcaraz, and also the Spanish football? My goodness, Luis, what's your reaction?
Yeah, we're very happy. I mean, I watched both of them, so we're excited that Spain made history yesterday. So
thank you for reminding us. Yes. My goodness, you've got a very calm demeanour. Gonzo, is he very calm on the golf course? I know you've been his caddy for one event in Portugal earlier this year. Pete, you use that microphone.
Yeah,
great.
I've touched rock bottom now on the golfing ladder.
Stop!
I'm down in the back. But no, it's been fun. I've been coaching him for just over a year.
We've got a huge military plane overhead. Wow, it's a carrier plane. You don't often see that, do you?
That's the beauty is I was able to fly into press with this morning, so I mean I'm not gonna complain at all. Just 10-minute drive from the
that was Gonzo's jet.
Yeah. Was it? It's just gone?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Can we get a lift next time? That'd be great. Gonzo, this is fantastic that you're caddy. I mean, you're obviously still playing.
Still trying, doing a bit of coaching with the national team and with Luis, which I mean, it's very inspiring on a way. I mean, when you hang out with all these youngsters, it keeps your golf dream alive in a way.
That's wonderful. Open Championships. I know your best finish was what year? 2009.
I've never played really well. I got to play 7 Opens, which is quite something for a so-so player like myself. And now we've got Luis. I mean, when he made it through at St. Ports, it was very exciting, especially the way he did it in a playoff, beating Brendan Grace, and it was super. So when he told me, would you come and caddy for me? I didn't hesitate. I mean, you want to be in an Open no matter what, even if it's in the back.
Oh my goodness! What was it like beating the likes of Brandon Grace?
I mean, it was unreal. I couldn't even believe it. I had to hold a very long putt on number 2, so it was just a dream.
Were you shaking? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I was shaking more on the first hole of the playoff, especially the first tee. I was very nervous because obviously you dream of playing in the Open, so I was thinking about it and I was like, I have a chance to go to play the Open, but I calmed myself down and played 2 very good holes, so very happy.
Fantastic.
Wait till Thursday. If you were shaking the other day, wait till Thursday. You will really shake it.
Yeah. Just tell us that about the first tee at the Open Championship.
Hey, listen, my first Open was at Hoylake 06, and I got paired with Retief Goosen at his prime and Tom Watson. I mean, that was
not intimidating.
I mean, not at all. I was just hoping. I mean, there was some high fescue just at the end of the tee box, and I was thinking, just get it over that fescue, just get it over that fescue. That's all I was begging for. And I mean, it's nerve-wracking, but once you get to the fairway, it'll be done.
Yeah. It's just step by step, ball, tee, forward.
That's all you had to do. You literally have one job on the first, and it's to hit the fairway. And the first here, called Seal, it's quite Pete said earlier on in our show, it's quite an easy first tee shot. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's short, but it goes out of bounds, right?
Yeah, don't go near the beach on the right, no.
Yeah, just aim left.
I do want to point out that it's easy with a microphone. When you're looking down it, it's like 360, it's fine, just hit an iron, wedge it on, there's no problem. Absolutely no problem.
You had to pick a first hole for your first Open tee shot, you would go for the old course, I guess. I mean, the old course is probably,
so big.
That's the one.
Have you played the old course before?
Played this year, the old course, St. Andrews Links.
Oh, great. And did you hit the fairway?
Yeah, not the third day, but I hit to the water. But yeah, the other 3 days I hit the fairway.
Listen, this is a magical experience. We were surrounded by talent, aren't we, Pete?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I think to get through in a playoff as well, like that as well, beating Brandon Grace as well, you know, very established, you know, long-lived tour pro. I mean, that's fantastic. He's got to give you some confidence, obviously, moving in.
Yeah, obviously, I saw how confident he was, how he played, because he played really good 2 holes. So, yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence.
Great. What's the game plan, chaps? And actually, can we have a quick look in the bag? Is there anything special that's in this bag?
Well, I'm glad you're here now, because, I mean, 10 minutes ago, these were the dirtiest clubs I've ever seen. So, I mean, it was
Luis,
embarrassing.
What were you doing?
It was embarrassing. That's Luis' thing. I mean, he likes to have his clubs dirty. No. I'm the opposite. So just be aware that these clubs are going to be shiny.
I have to say that we
week.
played last week, and it was very mud.
Okay, that's your excuse.
Yeah, that's my excuse.
We have a lot of viewers watching. A lot of them will be very pernickety and they clean their clubs religiously, but a lot who don't take them out of the car or, you know, don't clean them or dry them.
No, I mean, you need clean grooves in order to create some spin, and I mean, at least it would make you look like a better player, just having the clubs clean.
Oh, great. Are you nervous about caddying?
I am nervous about just getting to the end of the week. I mean, I'm okay. I think I'm going to be okay next couple of days. But by the end of the week, it's I'm getting old now. I'm not a 21-year-old anymore.
You're still looking fresh from this distance. You really are. It could be another Spanish victory. Honestly, yesterday was brilliant for Spain, and we applaud you. Well done. We look forward to seeing you, and really good luck this week.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Right, we'll head back to comms. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Great to hear from the young talent. It is the most amazing. He couldn't stop smiling, could he, George?
So good. And
Gonzalo on his side.
I enjoyed the laughter. But speaking of amateurs, there's 12 in the field this week, the most at the Open since 1987. So a lot of players getting through final qualifying, which was great as well. And a player that probably doesn't need final qualifying, the man on screen right now, world #1, Scottie Scheffler. Welcome to the Open Championship. Great to have him here. Something he doesn't have. One trophy is not many, slowly not many that he doesn't have. But Simon, what a year he is having. 6 wins. He hasn't missed a cut. He just keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. What Scottie Scheffler is doing is separating himself from the rest of the field. There you can see in the 2024 Major Championships, he won the Masters. He was sort of, I would say, derailed a little bit at the PGA Championship with an incident prior to the event, and then never really showed up, I would say, at the US Open. I don't think he didn't seem to adjust to the golf course, and that's maybe an interesting marker, because I would say of all of the places, Troon is nothing like the Masters, right? It's not that exam at all, but it kind of felt like Pinehurst #2 was a bit a test similar to Royal Troon. George, you know, do you fancy his chances round here? What are you calling early?
Well, it would be a silly man or silly person not to think he's got a chance at any event he tees it up at. You know, you look through that Masters period, he won 4 events within 5 championships. So it is hard not to think that he will make a run, but it is only his 3rd Open Championship. So, I mean, his 4th Open Championship. So, you know, look, it's not a huge amount of experience. A tied 23rd, tied 21, and a top 10 at Royal St George's in 2021. So, but watching him on the range yesterday, I just sat there for 10 or 15 minutes and watched him laser it, and it was just almost boringly good. It was lazy, smooth, silky. He had the same setup with his alignment sticks here, and it was just nonchalant, easy as you like. And look at those frozen ropes.
Yeah, it's a great action, and that was a beautiful look, wasn't it? You can see the links turf, firm, sandy base, wispy, hard sort of grass. So Scottie Scheffler has reached a standard that certainly no one in this little era has got anywhere near. So let's have a look at his swing. Pays a lot of attention to his basics. He's very careful putting his hands on the club. Red alert as that man appears in the background. That is Wayne Riley.
You mentioned the other majors and the chances this week. With what happened at Valhalla and the US Open, I've got a feeling he's got that bit between his teeth. He's gone, hold on, I've had 2 relatively bad performances for his standards at a major, which are good for a lot of golfers. And I just get the feeling that he's got this one in the zone. He didn't play the Scottish. He was here early.
Yeah.
This is his time. He's had a kid. Everything's been happening for him. It's been very, very busy. But I think he's had a little bit of calm before the Open.
Let's have a look at these feet here. Worm cam. Right. So on the wedge, I'd say that's a pretty standard sort of footwork. There's a bit of rotation into that left heel.
Oh, he's pulled it.
Left heel moves across. Yeah, he would not have liked that. He's
horrible golf shot.
Yeah, it's an interesting. So let's sort of go through
2 or 3 yards left.
Yeah, his swing a little bit. So we can see with our top tracer technology, the tightness of the start line, you know, really does start on line there. There's no kind of like variation. So Scottie Scheffler, it looks calm there, doesn't it? It looks very orthodox. And the thing which I think is unique to him is that if you can imagine, a lot of players are shifting weight, or let's not call it weight, they're shifting pressure. So you've 2 feet on the ground. Let's suppose you start 50-50, and you're just kind of shifting pressure into that right side. Now, Scottie Scheffler shifts pressure into that right side up until about the club shaft is parallel to the ground in the backswing, right? So that's very, very short, hip high. And then he is starting to move into that left side, so moves in very, very early. Look how careful he is with his hands on the club there. That's one of his basics. He'll take more time, I think, than any pro that I know to get his hands on the club how he wants. Look at this.
Wow.
Right?
Very fastidious.
So, there we go. And now watch the hips move into that left side. So the reason that left foot moves over so much, especially when he gets into the longer clubs, which we will have a chance to see, is because he is moving into that left side so early. So as he glances over to his right side there, left side, he is checking out the big scoreboard which has our top tracer technology. So 146 carry, we're thinking that's a pitching wedge, and we'll be back to him in just a minute.
On the tee. She was staring this one down, and for good reason. Look at this. Just delightfully done. She's on top of the world. Going directly at the hole. Tell you what, go on. Oh, get in there.
There's something about the AIG Women's Open.
Oh, my goodness.
There it is, hospitality for the players on the driving range, and adjust to the right side there, you can see the massive monitor which showing you all of the top tracer technology. So we are kind of bringing the course to the driving range. So get in touch with us. We have got an amazing 3 days of preparation before Thursday, and it starts. 73 champion, sadly missed. Tom Weiskopf, what a great man. Honored the game. So there it is. Top tracer technology. I think it gives... Golf has benefited, George, I would say, by this kind of technology almost more than any other sport. So let's have a look here. So that is Scottie Scheffler, and we have got ball follow data that is provided by Top Tracer. Have a look at this. See the flight of the ball. Here we go, Scottie Scheffler moving through. Very calm, everything very slow motion, George, in control. Like the Scheffler action, the attitude, the feel, the buzz.
Absolutely love it at the moment. It looks like it literally looks like he is warming up. You know, he's playing every shot at 70%, just cruising, taking his time in between each shot. You mentioned the grip earlier today about how he really focuses on the basics, gets everything lined up. And there's nothing crazy. There's no drills out of the ordinary. There's nothing super niche. He just gets the job done. And as I mentioned earlier, his results at the last few Open Championships, tied 8th at Royal St George's, St Andrews T21, and then Liverpool, something similar. So he'll be looking to add a little more to his resume this week.
I think that's right. I think, you know, he's almost got a little bit of an aura. Like Tiger had the aura, which was very much a case of when Tiger arrived at this tournament, his expectations were he was going to win. There might have been 3 or 4 other players, Els, VJ, Duval, a few others who hoped that they would win. But the mental difference between those two states of mind is everything. And for me, Scottie Scheffler's got a little bit of a... don't step on the tee with me, this is my space. He's got a little bit of that. He can push it back. He's big, he's tall, he's glassy.
I feel like his aura's, yeah, slightly different to Tiger's in the fact that he's not going away. He's almost that annoying player you play with, and it's just like something, a puddle drop when you least expect it. He won't miss a fairway. He'll get a lucky bounce. Like I remember at the Masters, he went into the bunker on the par 3 12th and then just popped that in for birdie, and it's like, hold on. He was in trouble and he's back in the mix, and he just never goes away. You look at his last 15 events on the PGA Tour, 14 of which are the top 25, so he knows what he's doing. He's not going anywhere, and I think that is his aura. That's where he is intimidating, is that, you know, if you're in his group for the first 2 days, you've just got to stick with him because you'll be in the mix.
Yeah, it is interesting. So there you can see it. Bottom left, 10 starts, 6 wins. Signature event wins. So when it gets serious, he shows up. 2 runners up, $23 million.
Now, that's $23. Is that for all his efforts, or is that...
I'm going to say there's an M on there somewhere, but let's go. So Scottie Scheffler is in the building. He is on the driving range, just going through his warm-up. And just have a look. So very disciplined process here. So he's got his aiming clubs down. No one's there. There's no faff. He's looking at our Top Tracer technology monitor, which is onto the far left of the driving range.
Funnily enough, he was my first ever interview on the PGA Tour when he came from winning the Corn Ferry Tour at the Waste Management. Had absolutely no clue who he was. And I just thought his name was really close to Xander Schauffele.
That's good, George.
How in hindsight?
Well, maybe you've got the Midas touch, George. It could be that that's the magic that's just changed his... You're the catalyst. It's very unlikely, but there's a chance.
Yeah, so if you're a beginner, if you're a new golfer on tour, just
go speak
come
to
have
George.
a chat.
Here we go. So, almost like in slow motion, isn't it? Look at this. Very serious, very focused. Scottie Scheffler working on his pattern there, so we are able to take his shots, move them across to the 5th hole, the par 3. Got a little bit of a different angle this year, just moved across. You know, these are all of the subtle changes that the R&A advise these amazing links golf courses who host the Opens, just increasing the challenge all the time. The R&A never sleeps. It is always looking to improve. The far right side of the green there has a little runoff. There's just a way that they've moved the tee across to the right a little, which brings the very difficult bunker on the 5th hole just a little bit more into the middle of the green, gives a slightly different angle. I love the changes at Royal Troon. You have to come and have a game if you get a chance to come up this coastline. It is, well, it's magic, George.
It is simply stunning, no doubt about it. You can see a little postage stamp on the range behind Scottie Scheffler as he just moves into this ball. It'll pop back up, but yeah, this beautiful par 3 5th. There's so many tee blocks, it looks like it's got chicken pox in the yardage book. So many options for these players, and more importantly for the championship staff to work with, depending on weather conditions and what parts of this green they want to bring in.
So yeah, we are down the line with Scottie Scheffler. He is going through his routine.
Jules?
Just chatting.
I was at the Hunter's house for one night, and I now get sandwich for 2 nights. Once on Friday, once last night. That was good.
That's his tailor-made rep. Knows all the gizmos and gadgets.
Yeah, just checking in, you know, the manufacturers. It's a different test. Gone are the days of sort of, you know, matching clubs and everything. Got a lot of hybrid sets moving around. We were watching Keegan Bradley earlier. If you were with us, he was testing out probably a driving iron versus a couple of fairway woods to kind of find the right combination. So the manufacturers, Scottie, I think, needs to work on that wave. I'm not sure that was. Anyway, here we go. Someone very important. There you go.
Tony Finau.
How we go?
Did I just say Tony Finau?
Tommy's caddy.
Finau.
Finau.
I mean,
is back.
Big
God
Ian
bless him.
Finnis.
How he's a great man.
He's had surgery not long ago, so great to see him back. It was going to be a stretch to see if he was going to be back in time for the Open, but great to see Camp Fleetwood back to full force. Exciting week. He's probably the same size as Tony Finau.
So soft hands, isn't it? He's great at calibration. I think that's one of his great skills. Just feels the club face very, very well. So we are watching world #1, Scottie Scheffler, just moving through his clubs. Interesting to see. Doesn't look, I would say, like amazingly happy with the shop shapes.
One thing I always notice with Scottie, Simon, is how high his hands go. So his arm, his lead arm is almost straight up, isn't it? It's so impressive. When
it's a style. It's like, you know, if you imagine the plane, it's like, you know, you take Rory McIlroy, who swings a bit more like a kind of like a roundabout. This is more like the London Eye. It's like it's very vertical, the plane, isn't it? Very straight up the left arm, then moving aggressively left and then, you know, and then just basically trying to hold that thing and play it as a baby fade. So, you know, and his coach, Randy Smith, I mean, I spoke to Randy, he's like, you know what, the guy always did it at, I just never thought I'd even change it, which is why Randy Smith's such a great coach. So, very specific. Look at the face, look at the hands on the club. Sitting there with Jules, who's got his back to us with a little baby hoodie on. That's his manufacturer's representative. And a calming influence, I would say. Jules has been out there for a long time. There you can just see with our top tracer line there, just at the apex, that little baby fade. That's what he's looking for. So, Scottie Scheffler. Now, I'd say midway through the bag. Watch that left leg. Pushes forward into that. So, it's the very important part of his move is how early he shifts left. You know, he shifts left, he pushes forward. And I would say it's that drive, that early drive left. It is kind of like the signature move. That's kind of like his kryptonite move. He's in great spirits, isn't he?
Very relaxed, very comfortable in the major championship environment. It was extremely quiet yesterday, but then today, as the day progresses, you can just see people trickling in. The range is getting busier, the atmosphere's lifting. Whispers and our murmurs.
Yeah, I think that's right. There is a different buzz. I mean, this is the most authentic sort of competition in our sport. And have a look at this. So, two aiming clubs, just to kind of really find the parallel lines. Watch that right foot, how it moves forward and then behind. And there's the fireworks show. Just to show you, that's the Scottie Scheffler warm-up as it is so far. Incredible data that we're able to now bring you. That's the driving range to the players playing on sort of the other golf course there. Lots of green sites. The visualization now is so important at driving ranges. It's almost like a game within a game, isn't it? Then you add the technology that you've got with all of the simulator stuff that you have with Top Tracer. And it's interesting. I mean, golfers now, you know, they're not watching the ball as much as they used to. They're kind of watching what the data did, what came out of the data pack that they're looking at to see if they did what they wanted to do. The game has changed. The technology has probably improved the game.
Yeah, and the accuracy with their distance control is second to none. You see Scottie Scheffler, for example, on social media trying to guess which yardage he hits each club, and the accuracy and how dialed in they are to know their distance control is super impressive. And yeah, it just shows that every little bit counts, and every player's trying to get some sort of advantage over the person next to them in the base. So yeah, if they can embrace it rather than trying to stick to their old ways, if you can let everything in, if you can digest it. I guess sometimes maybe too much information is too much for some golfers, and you need to keep it simple, but it is there.
Yeah, I think simple, or you just need to keep it focused. So you know, don't go chasing zeros out of the numbers and don't go off the wrong tangents. But I mean, I think that is, you know, if you can measure it, it's a better system. So let's have a look here. Scottie just filming Scheffler from behind, just looking at the footwork, looking how early the shift is.
Getting into the driving iron areas here, so it's going to be interesting to see if Scottie uses a 3-wood a lot on tour. A very reliable club for him week in, week out, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, the footwork of Russell Henley on the left side of your screen. So both of these two guys, interestingly enough, with pretty interesting footwork. Scottie Scheffler drives that left leg over and then moves the right foot in to support him. Henley kind of rolls out onto the toe if you're looking at the bottom left there, if he does hit a shot. You get a chance to see just how much variation there. You can see the kick of Scheffler now. I think you're going to like that. You can just see that drop to the right at the apex there. Amazing how high they hit the ball, isn't it? So watch Henley, if his caddy just shifts, you see that right foot come out and over there, sort of knees together.
It's like a leg spinner.
Yeah, little, brilliant.
Shane Warne release, getting right through it.
Warney.
The late great.
Amazing man.
Well, look at that. Not a bad way to go about it. 27 of the big ones per hole, per stroke. Amazing. What a year he's having.
Yeah.
6 wins this season.
Yeah, incredible rewards now. But I'll tell you what, you win the Open Championship, you go down in history. That's a different reward than going to the bank manager. You become a part of our game. Joined great champions who have become champion golfer of the year, George.
It's the biggest prize. Golf's original major. A true links test. Who comes out on top more often than not certainly deserves it.
Yeah. You don't become a champion golfer by accident. So, very interesting to see how methodical and slow. You know, reminds me of, you know, it's such a low beat, isn't it? Like Tiger could do that. You just felt like Tiger could really like slow down time, stop everything in his mind, not be distracted, very single-minded. You kind of get the same buzz a little bit with Scottie Scheffler.
Well, it's kind of like a Monday at the office for any old job, you know. If you're down at the bank, if you're an accountant, you're sort of cruising in on a Monday. You've had a long, lazy weekend. You're like, no one likes a Monday. So he's just going to go his own pace, do his own thing. And I always compare sort of, I guess if you're walking around the range, you've got your CEOs of the company, your Tiger Woods. You don't want to talk to him, but you kind of want to be seen by him. When he walks past you on the range, morning, boss. You know, how are you? But he won't. He hasn't got time for you. And then you come down the world rankings and the more social colleagues. You go to the water cooler, and all of a sudden the lads will have a chat to you, and you're like, okay, this guy's a nice guy. So this is no different for a Monday at the office for these guys, is it, Simon?
I think the Monday of the Open. And I know that they're thinking, okay, you know what? I got to get my mind right here because this is a marathon and not a sprint, and I need to make that adjustment. I remember talking to Tiger years ago, and he used to say, you know what he learned was he was living in, I think he was living in California, and he used to come over and stay in Ireland the week before the Open, right? And he always used to say he used to come a day early for each hour of time change that he was coming from, because that's how long he felt it took him to adjust. Wow. How interesting is that?
Yeah.
You know.
So not just for the Guinness.
No, Tiger was an absolute machine back then, wasn't he? It was like there was only one thought in his mind when he went to bed, and one thought in his mind when he got back up, and that was win the tournament. So there we go.
It's the same with talking to the likes of two-time Open champion Padraig Harrington. He was saying that you've got to be fit, healthy and fighting on Sunday. So if you go hard on a Monday, Tuesday here in your practice rounds, you're going to be tired by the Sunday. So you have to time your run to be firing and fit and healthy come Sunday afternoon, because that's when the big moments happen.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? I think that, you know, that's why, you know, like if you look at Scottie's game, doesn't make too many mistakes off the tee, doesn't really hit too many shots into the wrong places, so he doesn't really he doesn't leak any energy before that kind of back nine on Sunday. And like, you know, if you're scrapping around and it looks calm on the top, but your feet are going at 100 miles an hour underneath, you run out of juice by the time it comes to the big dance. So look at the footwork here. Have a look at this left foot. It kicks, it gets pushed, and then that right toe comes in behind it to support.
It's intriguing to see on the range. Obviously, there's still a lot of movement, a lot of footwork, but then when you get on the course, there's even more, and it's like, hold on, that's not what we practiced and preached.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, isn't it? So, drivers are back in the bag. a few wedges just to cool off, and Scottie Scheffler will be out on the golf course with Sam Burns in about 20 minutes.
On the tee. She was staring this one down, and for good reason. Look at this. Just delightfully done. She's on top of the world. Going directly at the hole. Tell you what, go on. Oh, get in there.
There's something about the AIG Women's Open.
Oh, my goodness.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years, I see myself making partner at this
Firm has been sold.
What? To who?
Some multinational outlet.
Dubai, where it's 7 a.m. and the temperature is very warm.
Welcome, Viv. This is Ben. Anything you need to know, he's your
lawfully wedded husband in good times and in
total chaos. Viv, what time are we expecting twins?
Life is rarely a straight line. Wherever it takes you, HSBC can help.
There's no way I should be here. I should be dead or in prison. I mean, how else would you gauge this? And a guy comes off of a cotton farm, you know, to become one of golf greats? Are you kidding me?
He hit the flagstick, and the crowd erupts.
He just stormed onto the scene.
And he has put it in again.
He's a magician.
He's got it.
I never had any dreams about going on tour. I didn't know anything about it.
His story's amazing. His journey's amazing.
What a great shot.
We were poor. We needed money to buy food.
Beat Rufino, a 28-year-old drug broke.
Didn't belong. I knew I didn't belong.
It was unbelievable.
And he put up with a lot.
That past is so painful to him.
I would like to forget it, to tell you the truth.
Our culture has a short memory, and I think it's time for us to be reintroduced to the Dreamino.
I'm playing for my life out here, you know?
It is the American dream.
Why, oh, why?
He hustled the world.
So, delighted to say I've been joined by Peter Finch, who has just joined us from being on the driving range. Peter, first impressions for being on the range, a bit more serious than it was?
Yeah, just a touch. I think the week really does ramp up, doesn't it, from this point, especially with the Scottish Open being last week. Players moving in from that event to here, just starting to get prepped for the week which could really define their career. So I think that's always in people's minds once they're on the driving range at the Open. You know, they could very well be the person who are lifting the claret jug at the end of the week, and that is a life-changing event for any of them.
Yeah, that's what's great about a Monday, and golfers is like, we have high hopes, don't we? It is amazing, isn't it? So look at that Monday.
I think on the Mondays it's good to actually get down in that grandstand, especially because the players are a little bit more relaxed, and you know, you do get to see all these swings and all these different techniques in a very confined space.
Yeah, you get to see so many. So the Open is the biggest dance in golf. You can use this QR code to catch some spectacular and very stylish merchandise. And we've got an amazing tent here, but if you can't make it up there, use that code, catch a little bit of Open stuff. And the stylish statement, get your yellow brolly, join the Open vibe. There it is. There's your code. So we're on the range. It is Monday. We've had Tiger Woods, we've had Scottie Scheffler. Players just starting to come in. It's unbelievable conditions, Peter. We walked the course yesterday afternoon in really beautiful conditions. And I think that could beguile the players into what's going to come. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday doesn't look as though that's going to be what we're going to have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No, I don't think so. I mean, at an Open Championship, the chances of getting 4 days of consistent weather are pretty much non-existent. But today, compared to certainly from Wednesday onwards, looks very different. Yeah. And, you know, we say this a lot, but the draw in the Open is so key. You know, there's going to be players going out on the morning wave. They'll get great weather, and then the afternoon could be terrible.
So there is the driving range. Our team is down there. Let's see what Di Stewart has been up to.
Thank you very much, Simon. Actually, you'll just be able to catch a glimpse of Xander Schauffele as he's walking off the range. Rick Shields and myself have been watching him for the last 5 or 10 minutes. Rick, great to see you. First time on the Open range 2024 with me. I mean, days don't get any better than this. We've just watched Schauffele absolutely rip a few balls.
I mean, it's an absolutely glorious day. Royal Troon Day.
Yes.
Is the weather like this all week?
It's no. I want to be optimistic, and we're crossing fingers and toes that the weather does stay like this. Just a quick word on Xander. You've arrived this morning.
Yeah.
In fact, when did you get here?
Literally this morning. I drove up this morning, took about 3 hours. It's actually raining back in England.
We're slightly depressed after the football,
all the
aren't
tears
we?
are there, but we've come to Scotland for the home of golf, and yeah, we just watched Xander there, just absolutely striping it. Obviously, PJ champion this year.
Yeah.
I reckon he's got a real chance this week. He's been playing some great golf. You know, obviously, current Olympic champion, and the Olympics is happening again this year at Paris. So I think he's probably going to be in a good state of mind, a good flow, and he's such a talented golfer. He's unbelievable. But the problem is you look down the range and there's lots and lots and lots of talented golfers.
I know, over 150 who want to lift the claret jug and become champion golfer of the year. Let's take a little walk down the range in this glorious sunshine on the western coast of Scotland. And yeah, the Olympics is coming up. My goodness, he won a gold medal in Tokyo, didn't he? He's had a tied second place finish in the Open Championship back in 2018, so we'll keep our eyes on Xander. But Ricky Fowler we've got behind him. He's also runner-up in years gone by.
Yeah, I played with Ricky a few years ago at Medalist, to his home golf course, and he was so unbelievably just special talent. He's obviously had a couple of rough years, but he's finding some form in this last kind of 12 months or so. Whether he's got the game to win here, time will tell, but he is such a great golfer. He's making some huge swing changes all the time. Been working with Butch Hardman quite a lot to improve his golf swing.
Do you know, it's fascinating being on the range, just seeing up close and personal exactly what the players do before a major championship. Monday it's quite chilled, isn't it? And it gets more serious as the days go by.
It feels very relaxed today. There's lots of high-fiving, lots of handshaking, lots of chit-chat between players and caddies. They might not have seen each other for a while. And then you actually, like you say, as it gets into the week, you get more serious and everyone gets a bit more dialed in. There's less people on the range at the moment. There's a few people around. It's a great atmosphere, to be honest.
It really is. And actually, we're getting a lot of interaction via social media. All you have to do is tweet us at The Open, and the hashtag is The Open Range. I got a question in from Anne that I've remembered 2 questions. And Anne has asked, do the players prepare differently for a links event in comparison to other majors?
I certainly think they will, yeah. There'll be some tweaks in equipment.
Yeah.
Without factor. Obviously, so many of these guys play in the US where you've got to hit the ball super high, where they've got hybrids and 7-woods and 5-woods in the bag. This is the week where they switch those out the bag. They're starting to now test and get dialed in for 2 irons and 3 irons and low lofty golf clubs, because I played this golf course 2 or 3 weeks ago. And
play well?
I did, actually.
Oh,
I
there we go.
I played very nicely.
Yourself and Pete have played really well here.
Yeah.
You're making it look easy.
Little plug, my video's out today on my YouTube channel, so I'm excited about that.
Good stuff.
I made quite a lot of birdies, which was good for me. But what I was saying is there's actually a lot of tees that you do need to hit a long iron off well, like 1 and 2 particularly. You've got to strike a really good long iron. So I think they'll be making some adjustments. You can see a lot of launch monitors out here, and there'll be the reps from all the different tour trucks, which are just behind us.
Yeah.
They'll be out here making sure the players have got the equipment that they need to battle a links golf course. And then not only is it the equipment, it's the swing changes. Are they trying to flight it a little bit lower today, this week going into the Open?
Yeah.
At the moment, there's not much wind, but during the week it is going to get windy here at Royal Troon. It's a fact. It's going to happen. So there'll be swing changes as well being made.
Yeah, another tweet X that came in was from Mel saying Tiger does not look fit. What do you think? ?
I've not seen him yet, I'll be honest. I know he had a practice round yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he's out there right now, apparently.
He was mainly chipping and putting yesterday and playing out of the bunkers, which there are 98 plus 3 this year, which makes 101. Just doing the maths in my head, I was always quick at maths. class at school. But he was mainly short game practicing, which we would expect.
I think it's a tough one for Tiger this week. You know, he's got to balance that kind of energy level. You know, I was actually surprised he was here yesterday.
Yeah.
And whether
he got the flight over from Florida Sunday night.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And but he played a bit of golf though yesterday, did he?
Yes. What day? Sorry, Saturday night. Then played. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I reckon there's going to be a day, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, where we don't see him here. Or if he is here, he's only out on doing a bit of putting or chipping. He has to maintain his energy levels because it's not a tough golf course to walk. It is flat, but if you get on some of the hills on the banks, if he's hitting it offline, that's when it does start to take it out of you without question. If you're hitting it down the fairway, it's nice and flat.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy with as Pete said, with a microphone in your hand. But links golf is completely unpredictable. You just never know what the elements are going to do. And as you say, as the week goes by, the wind's going to pick up and it's going to get tricky. We spoke to Gonzo Fernandez Castano. My goodness. He's caddying for Luis. We spoke to him, Maceveo, who's one of the amateurs that's qualified.
That's so cool. That is really smart.
Gonzalo Fernandez Castano, who's still playing on tour, made the cut at the Italian Open, but great to have a player on his back.
So good, certainly for an amateur golfer. You know, I love the fact, obviously, Spain have been doing very well in sports recently, and he's got the Spain flag on his shoes, on his jersey. He looks very confident in his approach. You know, I think for an amateur golfer to have someone established on the bag is so crucial.
Yeah.
You know, to guide him just to where he's got to go. What's the process? What's the what does he have to do at an Open champion? I like the fact he's actually got Team Spain on his right sleeve there as well. That hurts a little bit, so fresh in the wounds right now, but Spanish have been doing so well.
Tennis,
Sergio Garcia obviously winning as well. The fact that Spain won the Euros.
It's utterly depressing for the English today, isn't it? But in terms of the football. But I spoke to Lewis and said, you know, are you excited about what Spain achieved yesterday? And his demeanour was so calm, which I think reflects possibly his demeanour out on the golf course.
Yeah, I also think they probably expected to win it. Yeah, to be honest.
they were favourites. Now we had Scottie Scheffler on the range just here. He's walked off to get possibly a bit of breakfast. He was walking into the players' lounge. He's going to do a bit of practice, but my goodness, he's winning left, right, and centre. Won 6 times on the PGA Tour, 2-time major champion. Well, how does he perform in Opens?
I mean, there's so much expectation on his shoulders. The last couple of years, he's found that more challenging. I think he's due an Open without question. I think the fact that he's striking it so well, I actually just came down here and watched him before. I think this was his divot pattern here, just on Bay 27, I think.
Bay 27,
I think it was anyway. And I was just stood there behind him, and shot after shot after shot just had no curvature in it. He hits it so outrageously straight. I think again, playing this golf course, there's a lot of long par threes. Yes, the 8th is the famous postage stamp, which is a short par 3. There's actually quite a lot of long par 3s out there as well, which requires accurate iron shots, and there's nobody better in the game right now than him. With his iron play, he's sensational. So I'm glad he's turned up with a beard.
Oh, it's a strong beard as well.
I'm glad
Is that because you've got a beard?
I think I've inspired him, I'll be honest.
Well, I think he alluded to that as he walked off. He looked at you and gave you a little wink and a thumbs up.
You know, there's some envy in the beard game there, but I think, listen, he wins with a beard or without a beard.
Oh, yes, exactly.
But I think he just looks like a little bit cooler when he's got the beard. He looks like the mean Scottie Scheffler.
He does. I'm wondering if everyone at home prefers Scottie Scheffler with a beard or without. Let us know at the Open, #TheOpenRange. That will keep us entertained for the next few hours, I'm sure. But do send them in. We want the show to be as interactive as possible. Right, thanks, Rick. We'll speak to you very shortly. But the great thing about the range is we can head all over the place, and we've got our roving reporters out all over. We've got the putting, the chipping, and right now we're going to head to, if I'm going to be told, we're going to go back to commentary, and we'll speak to you very shortly.
Beautiful day with Rick Shields, and I am with Peter Finch, and that is a pretty amazing pop-up restaurant for the players, Peter.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? Like, you just wander out, you just had a nice fish and chips, well, obviously not those guys, but a nice quinoa salad, and just, you know, clip a few away, get loose, get back in, have a coffee.
The RNA know how to host an event, don't they? Anyway, we're at the Open. This is live at the range, and we have been treated to some spectacular very first sort of sessions here. Tiger Woods is out with JT. Justin Thomas, Scottie Scheffler is out with Sam Burns. And there it is. The range. Todd Hamilton was out. Did you see Todd?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you know what? I didn't realise what a big guy he was. Big, tall unit. I was actually really surprised. I've never seen him in the flesh. Obviously, I remember watching it when he won round here against Ernie, but yeah, to actually see him in the flesh, I was quite surprised.
Imagine that. Take on Ernie Els. There's Tony Finau. Oh, there's Ricky Fowler. Popular man, just looking at two different. Let's think here, what could he be doing? He might have turned it, might have rotated a shaft there, closed down the face, but he likes the reminder, so he needs to put a new grip on it.
Yeah, potentially. I think they're two different shafts as well there. So I think potentially may have just had a new grip on there. It's been interesting actually walking around this morning, the amount of players with multiple drivers, multiple irons, multiple fairway woods, just really trying to tune in what they think is going to be the best fit for this week. Because it is a different type of golf than a lot of them do play. And you can kind of alter and you can manoeuvre the bag around a little bit to try and suit for a links course.
Yeah, Ricky Fowler, not probably in the peak form, looking for some sort of a spark. I think we did sort of think he would be one of the types of players who could win an Open. But there he is, tied 30 at the Masters. That was tidy.
I think he's winning the bag game at the moment, though. You're not going to miss him on the course, are you? Wow, look at that.
That's a strong bag, for sure. Ricky, I don't know, does it go with orange? There it is, the driving range, busiest place certainly this week. Great place to go and watch the lanky figure, I think, of Tony Finau. Just having a look at his orientation there with his aiming clubs. So much discipline now from the players. Incredible to see it, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, the approach to golf over the last kind of 20 years has completely transformed from maybe where it was. I mean, you can speak to this a little bit better than I can, Simon, as far as how the game has transformed within that time period, about how these guys go about approaching these tournaments. You know, early on in the week when you were out on the range, obviously you've been out there with different players that you've worked with as well. I mean, what are you talking to them about? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what's the approach on the Monday of a major?
Yeah, I think people go in different stages, you know, sort of if you take like Faldo. So for Faldo, the major was the main event. So we used to have this kind of run-up of like Irish Open, Scottish Open, and then the Open. That was sort of like in the 80s and 90s. And that was kind of like your links period. And it was really just a case of getting your eye in. Obviously, you had much different equipment, so you weren't really spinning clubs around in persimmon drivers. So you weren't messing with that. The golf balls were probably, you know, much less stable in the wind. And so it was tempo golf as opposed to power golf. It was delivering the same pressure, not a different pressure. And so I noticed that, you know, the key elements, the things you need are different now than they used to need then. Then you needed control, now you need power. It's changed. So go back and join Ricky Fowler. So I think Tony Finau's done something interesting there. Just put like a little aiming stick out ahead of him, just to give you sort of like that launch direction. So you know, the optics in golf, Peter, are difficult, aren't they? You're sort of trying to aim at something 150 yards away from side on, standing. You know, it's like it's not like aiming a gun down the rifle. It's you're aiming the gun standing a yard to the left or to the right of it. It is a hard thing to do. Get yourself really organised there, and then you've got the ball position, then you've got uneven lies. There's a lot of faff in that, isn't there?
Oh, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you were to design a sport which is less convivial to the human brain, it's probably golf. Like, you're aiming at a target in front of you, you stand at the side, and all Tony's doing there with that alignment stick, it's all about start line. So from his perspective, he's looking at it from a slight diagonal angle, so he just wants to get the ball started over that line, and if his ball flight is a relatively straight one, it's going to finish up somewhere near his target, as long as that strike is where he wants it to be. Looks like Ricky's got something on the ground, just working on body alignment, just looking at his numbers. Yeah, the amount of tech and launch monitors out there as well, it's fascinating.
Yeah, we've got top tracers, so we're right there with you. Ricky Fowler just having a look at maybe some plane work. It's very interesting. I think, you know, we were walking the golf course last night talking about different guys, and Ricky Fowler for me is like one of those guys. You know, he started playing golf when he was like 3 or 4, and you just feel as though he must have played with a really heavy club because of the way he kind of drags it back and then drags it through. So let's have a look and see.
Yeah, it's a swing that's changed over the years as he's tried to make it probably a little bit more conventional. I think he's slipped in and out of that throughout that time period. Obviously working with Butch now, and I think Butch is probably one of those coaches who, yes, he works on the technical aspects of the swing and he does improve, but Butch always seems to manage to get the very best out of somebody's swing as it is as well. Like, and I think for Ricky, he's a perfect fit.
Yeah, it is interesting. You know, we can see so much about your swing. We can see how your weight pressure moves. We can see all of the things of how your club moves compared to your hands. Now you can see how your lower body moves compared to your upper body moves. And then it's the management of all of that data that I think is the art now of coaching, which is to limit the feed so that the player has the trigger that he needs. And I agree with you. I think Butch Harmon has always, I think he's improved players, but he's kept his players, he's improved his players while keeping his players playing. That he's never sort of destroyed someone and they took a year to get any good at the new moves. He's kind of, he trickles them towards the next place. I think that's an art. Brendan Todd there.
Todd,
yeah. The boss of the Moss, the new boss of the Moss. Lauren Roberts was the first boss of the Moss. Now Brendan Todd holds the title, which means you're the best putter. You're very often hated as the best putter. Jordan Spieth was the best putter, but outside of like 15 feet, not a great short putter. So, Finau.
He's got the title of the lowest hands in golf.
Yeah, it's like lower than your knees. Look at that. So it's like,
it's a great, if you next time you go to the driving range, guys, if you are listening, watching to this, just try and hit a shot and try and get your hands by your knees as you take the club away. It's almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he manages to clear himself out of the way through impact so he can actually make that room.
So let's have a look at his action. So just loose as a goose, isn't he? Do you remember when he rolled his foot over walking backwards after his hole-in-one at the Masters and then popped it back in? Whenever I think of Tony Finau, I always think of that, and it just gives me
it sends a shiver.
The heebie-jeebies. So anyway, Tony Finau just clipping a few wedges, getting started here. So we are using top tracer technology to bring you the data. This is ball data, so
it might be a nice shot for the postage stamp, though.
Yeah. Got a little plaster on the back of his neck there. I wonder if that's a little twinge that he's got there, maybe a medical tape. So Tony Finau, very similar for me, kind of action with I suppose with you know, how fast he moves left. It's like one of those guys is like, you know, you've got players who kind of stay centered, you've got players who kind of lean left, like Bryson DeChambeau is kind of like a left lean, it kind of stays on that front leg. Tony moves into his right side, but man, he moves to the left so quickly as he kind of pushes those hips up and through. Very interesting action, very athletic action. He was a long driver, Tony Finau.
Yeah, I think he has underrated like some of the best coordination in the game as well, as far as hand-eye, because he does use a lot of hands throughout the swing. He's obviously only got a very short backswing as well. He did post a few videos from the start of last year, which I'm not sure you saw, where he actually completed a full backswing, and he was sending the ball out there with 200 miles an hour ball speed.
I know, yeah.
Frightening.
Yeah, I'd like to have a swing where I had to control my power, but it is what it is. So
it's one of those, if you could combine golfers. Tony's obviously next to Brendan Todd on the range.
Yeah.
If you could combine Tony's long game with Brendan Todd's putting, then you'd have an incredible golfer.
Then you'd be like Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah.
So Tony, I would say, is sending manufacturers backwards and forwards. I need one of these. I need one of those. So let's have a look. Finau, clipping a wedge, very low hands, almost like if we look at the sort of the squat in the legs. There we go. So there's a squat in the legs. Look at the height of those legs there. Right, and it's like a little short swing, and then just stands up with those feet, just post his legs. Watch his hips there. Right, and now watch that left leg just straighten. Boom. And that is almost like that's as simple as the action is.
Yeah, it's from that setup, it's something he needs to do. Like, if he didn't make that move, he'd be taking the skin off his kneecaps. But I think he has the physique to be able to make that kind of move. You know, he's a very, very tall guy. You know, there's nothing really to get in the way as far as around his gut. Yeah, which is
I don't know why you're looking at me like that. I think that's not fair. Here we go. So I'm probably just more built for comfort than for speed. Anyway, here we go.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Exactly. I'm there with you. I'm on the couch with you.
There you go. Right. So Finau, let's have a look at this lower body. Almost like as though there's no moving parts, but he still creates amazing speed.
Yeah, even though his backswing, even though his arm swing is relatively short, he does actually get a good rotation within the upper body. So his left shoulder, I know these are only wedges, but his left shoulder does still manage to clear underneath his chin. And then it's just pure kind of turn and rotation into the impact.
Yeah, it's very sort of rubbery and loose and everything. Very different from a Scheffler, which was much stiffer, much more sort of, you know, I suppose held or controlled. This is much freer looking. So almost like rubber wrists. Have a look at that sort of the down cock. So like no real set in the backswing. Yeah, and then just that kind of movement of the arms swinging faster than the wrist, swinging faster than the shaft, and then everything catches up at impact. So bit of Rahm in there. Could you see a bit of Rahm's wrists in there?
Well, it's certainly his left hand grip. He's got quite a long thumb going all the way down the shaft there, and as the club gets, again only with a wedge here, but gets up to the 3/4 style position, there's that little bit of a shallow.
Yeah, and it almost looks like super weak, doesn't it? Almost like it's knuckles down already on the grip, and then it's knuckles down at impact. So,
I mean, obviously, like, that's probably one of the big changes over the last 10 years as far as modern golf coaching is concerned, like how players use that lead wrist and an understanding of how that can manipulate club face and what that can do to the rest of the swing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I know, like when I was coaching sort of early 90s, we were really thinking of like where the right hand came on if you're a right-handed player, where the trail hand came on, and trying to really control the face from that side, and sort of keep, if you were sort of on top of the club shaft or underneath the club shaft, and then the guys who were on top of were steeper, the guys who were under were more shallow arms, and kind of referenced it through that, which is it's just interesting. I suppose coaching always is evolving in the way that you can actually see it. So as soon as a new piece of technology comes on and you can measure what you used to be able to see, the coaching changes.
Yeah, it's also, all you need is different players to come along as well. So you have someone like a Dustin Johnson, for example, coming along, who's the extreme example of this. Like you'll get a Rahm, Spieth, you know, these players who use very much a bowed left wrist, a kind of lead wrist inflection throughout most of the swing. And all of a sudden it's like, well, how are they making this work? how are they creating a stable club face? How are they getting the distance? And then once you start looking into it a little bit more, it's an understanding of if that can be implemented with other players.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in the past it would have been a case of trying to, certainly if you're a youngster, trying to coach them out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's, okay, how can you then use it?
Yeah, I think our modelling is better. I mean, I definitely know, you know, a lot of players spent about 5 years working on trying to copy Nick Faldo or David Frost or someone like that. And then there was sort of like, okay, well, now there are more models allowed. Yeah, okay, and so I think our modelling has got more of a matrix in it. There's more references. So as long as you can find them, you know, if you're a young kid, you need to find the model who's matching to you and then copy that so you don't go down a dead end.
Yeah, so if you are 6'4" and incredibly chilled, Tony Finau might be the model for you.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that, just.
Even when he was walking around yesterday, he looked so relaxed and just a vibe.
Yeah, it's like slow motion, isn't it? Just, I mean, like standing on your club, that you just look cool.
He does.
He does. Yeah, you're thinking we not so much. Okay. So, Finau, very, very cruisy. I mean, very interesting. Scottie Scheffler didn't really speak to anybody when he was on the range, and then Finau just chatting away, loose as a goose. So low hands, kind of like a little squat in the legs there. Club goes back, and then just pushes up with both legs, boom, through the ball. Hips really beat the hands through the ball. Have a look at this. So, and kick the hips through. Must be a hard adjustment if you've come from American PGA Tour turf and the way the ball sits up to links turf where the ball sits on the ground, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, the adjustment from a bare to a bare links lie, it can be a little bit scary, because all of a sudden you've got no give at all.
No.
And you've got to really be on top of your ball striking.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, if you watch where Tiger hit balls from this morning, didn't really make a divot, whereas Scottie Scheffler really made a strong divot pattern. So it's just different styles, different compressions, just getting used to it. Everyone now getting used to this links turf. Tony Finau. It's a very short arm swing, but man, there's some speed in there. And it's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday on the first day of the 152nd Open.
Control. It's often out of your reach. Your opponent. A line call. Even the bounce of a ball. Every game is full of unexpected twists and turns. You have the lows, the injuries, being away from home, the pressure. And the incredible highs, the wins, exploring the world. Every day, a new opportunity. Life is rarely a straight line. We can help wherever it takes you.
Monday morning, day one of the 152nd. There is the postage stamp. That means we are at Royal Troon, the driving range, part of the old golf course. Lots of really lovely visuals, and it will be next year. Join us at Royal Portrush, combination of the best golf tournament in the world with Irish hospitality. Press that or capture that QR code, enter the ballot for the 153rd Open, and that is at Royal Portrush. So down there on the driving range, we will find Di Stewart.
It's amazing who you find on the range, and delighted to be joined by a putting guru, superstar, and also I think you're trying to get a few more players. Phil Kenyon.
I should be on the putting green, not the range.
Well, this is what we wondered, didn't we, Rick? Why are you on the range?
I'd like to come and have a little look, a little nosy, see what's happening. This is the kind of important side of the game, isn't it? So, yeah, no, just having a little watch, really.
Yeah, great. So you guys know each other well, don't you?
Yeah, me and Phil have spent a bit of time together. He's tried to definitely help me with my putting.
Right.
Phil is an incredible putting coach. We've had him on the podcast as well. The stories that Phil can tell. And at the moment, you've got 8 unbelievable players ready for the Open, including Scottie Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose. What do you need to do with the players this week to get them ready for Royal Troon?
Good question, really. I mean, the Open is a unique challenge, isn't it? The green's a little different than normal, slower. You know, the contouring's a little different than what they'll be used to playing in the US. So it's trying to spend as much time out on the course, just kind of calibrating your feels. So yeah, obviously everyone's a little unique. They'll have their own sort of things that they'll be working on, but I think the most important thing is getting used to the speed and getting used to the contour, and that's the biggest difference.
Does it take a while for the guys who've been playing so much golf in the States on super fast greens to adjust to greens like this, or are they so adaptive that they can just kind of change straight away?
Well, they are good at adapting, for sure. For some it can be a little bit trickier than others. I think the hardest part is reading the greens. Yeah, you know, the subtleties of the linked screens. I think that can be the biggest challenge. I think the speed generally they can get used to. You've got 4 or 5 days or 3 or 4 days practice, so you should be getting used to the speed. I think the challenge is reading the greens.
And then obviously here at Royal Troon, we're out on the coast, wind comes into play so much. Yeah. Like how do you help players put well in the wind as well? Or is that a complete skill in its own right?
I think that's the hardest part when it's windy. I think being able to judge how the wind affects the break is harder than being able to judge how it's going to affect a 5-iron or 4-iron. So yeah, that's a big challenge, and I don't think there's any kind of real formula to that. There's a lot of feel involved and getting used to sort of the effect of the wind during the week.
And I think for you this week as well, your skill or putting as a skill is expanded, not just on the green this week. It spills off into the little side gullies, into the runoff areas where golfers won't be particularly grabbing sand wedge or lob wedge this week. Yeah. They'll be grabbing the putter or something low lofted. Do you spend a bit of time with players kind of adjusting to that as well? Because a lot of these Americans, that's not their normal game of golf, is it? It is mine, but it's not for these guys. How do they get putter off from the fringes? And how do they adapt there as well?
I just stick to the green. Anything off the green, it's not my responsibility. Down to the player. Yeah. Again, it's practice. I think if you go out on the golf course, you'll see the guys hitting lots of different chips and putts in and around the areas where they think they may miss it. So they'll map out the pins, possible pin locations, and then they'll find a spot where they're likely to miss if they are going to miss. And then again, if it requires a putter, they'll just practice that. So there's just a lot of feel that they'll, through the practice round, they'll generate a lot of feel of what's required.
And for our wonderful audience at home,
go for it.
You've got 3 main principles for putting, right? Yeah. Could you share those 3 main principles with the viewers at home who, desperately want to improve their putting? Yeah, and these aren't your secrets. We've done a video on this before, but you have 3 main factors, right?
Yeah. Everyone's now getting a pen and paper right now.
So line, speed and read. I mean, a lot of times you think about technique, but think of it more about skill. And if you can master those 3 skills, you'll putt well.
Line, speed and read.
That's all you need to know. How do you divide your time between all your players?
A good good diary.
Good diary and lots of coffee.
And lots of coffee, yeah.
Great stuff. You're not meant to be here, as we said, so can you make your way over to the putting green now? Phil, great to speak to you.
Nice to see you, Di. Yeah.
And good luck with all your 8,000 players that you're coaching.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers.
Speak to you
Thanks,
soon.
Phil.
Great
Appreciate
stuff.
that.
Thank you. Awesome. Well done.
Yeah, great to hear. Phil Kenyon, putting wizard. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the very, very best, Phil. Like when you hear him talk about putting and just like the minute details that those guys go into is fascinating, really is.
Now, DJ is in the house.
Yeah, he's not been on the best run of form recently, has he? Oh, new head cover. Wow, that is shiny. Holy moly.
Yeah, special one for the Open. Old one's off, new one's on. Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Dustin Johnson, you know, it almost looked at the US Open and maybe a bit the Masters as though wasn't really totally into it or up for it. So maybe just trying to find a little bit of focus and get a bit of performance going.
I always find it's very difficult to tell with Dustin, though. Like, he could be the most focused, the most driven, you know, the most on-the-ball tour pro in an event, and he has exactly the same attitude than if he was flipping burgers on his grill outside. He's just incredibly calm and chilled. But it also has the opposite effect. When he's playing poorly, it looks like he's not engaged. It looks like he doesn't care. But like certainly over the last couple of years, his performances in majors, and you always think of DJ as a huge major player. It just hasn't been there. He's just not played well at all. And it kind of goes in contrast to a lot of the guys who have gone over to live. Like obviously we don't see them week to week if you're not watching the live tour. So it's tricky because you get people like Brooks. You know, they're still considered a major player. They still turn up. They still perform. Obviously, Bryson recently, it's been absolutely fantastic. So you still put DJ up there as far as the same quality of player, but he's just not been producing.
No, it'd be very interesting to see. You know, had a fantastic chance at Royal St George's and has just hit a few foul balls, and Darren Clark won. So you felt as though he had a game because he is a shot maker. He can hit it high, hit it low. He's got a lot of different skills. Became an amazing wedge player.
Yeah, there's no... I mean, on paper, there's no weaknesses in the game, but you just saw there by his major performances so far this year. Only one made cut, miscut the Masters. I mean, the Masters for him, it was obviously a dream tournament to win. You know, he said that himself. He's got that one green jacket, and you'd expect him to perform all the time.
So, Matthew Pavon, who had an amazing breakthrough victory at Torrey Pines, hustled down the last few holes by Højgaard, but he just prevailed with a brilliant up and down.
I really like the whole story with Pavon as well about, you know, this is the highest world ranking he's ever had. The fact that he really dipped low and then just continued to improve over the course of a few years, then won PGA Tour and just has catapulted himself to a new position within the game through hard work. I love stories like that. It's a great feeling to know that, you know, if you keep working, you keep improving, anything is possible within golf.
Yeah, I like the work ethic. You know, it's like very much head down, very serious, very focused. Feels as though he's got a talent, feels as though he didn't take advantage of his talent, kind of corrected himself, realigned himself. And he's become someone who's kind of really performed when he's needed to. Like, he hasn't shied away from his opportunities. He's kind of snuck his way in, and then when he's had a chance, he's taken it. It's an impressive. So have a look at his slab there. Kind of talk us through those numbers, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty stock type of fade flight that he has. He's not the longest hitter in the world. I mean, we're looking at, what, 250 carry there with his Presume that's his 3 metal. Yeah, 2.6. That must be his 3. 163 ball speed. I mean, having that control type of fade is certainly around Troon. You'd probably say it favours a bit more of a fade flight during most of the course, but it, especially on the front line where the wind is mostly off the right-hand side, you can hold it into that breeze. And you know, he's more than good enough to be able to turn that into a draw on the back nine to hold it back into the breeze again.
Yeah, it is interesting. You know, I think in sort of the 70s, the draw from underneath, when you had like a lot of C-shaped kind of players that kind of fall back on your right side, hands rotating through, kind of was a draw, wasn't it? And now it has really sort of gone to much more stable golf ball. Hit it as hard as you can, but just make sure that basically you don't hit it left, because if you hit it left, it will go so far you'll never find it. So, as with everything, it's the equipment's changed the game. The equipment has, the players have to adapt to the equipment. You know, for some players, the metal drivers never gave them any sort of improvement at all. You know, a lot of players for whom the technology hasn't changed. Bryson is an interesting guy that you talk about, who's sort of embraced all of the technology and really ridden it out. I think he's learned a lot about himself and a lot about his game.
Yeah, it looks like Pavon is having a little bit of a question about his 3-wood. That's another 3-wood with a slightly different shaft in there. So again, just that very much fine-tuning. I mean, that one went 3 yards further than his last one. Do you think they get into that kind of detail? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. He's got his manufacturer in there. So,
I mean, that's one of the important parts of the bag this week, is what you're going to do at the top end. Obviously, you've got your driver, but it then depends what the split is. Are you going to have that 5-wood? Are you going to take that out? Are you going to put your driving iron in? Are you going to stick a 3-iron in? Are you going to drop any hybrids that you have? Are you going to have a more powerful 3-wood? Do you want more spin, less spin? These are all factors that you really need to understand, because you know, these players might be putting a club in for one specific shot.
Yeah, so interesting. So as the balls get hit, the balls have to come back in. And I think he has been, I think I know who that is. He's been, I can't remember his name. He's been doing that for, is it? That he must be doing that for 25 years. I bet you're picking up the range balls. Amazing. So,
do you think the Tour pros are professional enough not to aim at him?
No, you know what? I used to do that when I was at Lake Nona, and it was about 1989. I used to do that, and Payne Stewart and Paul Azinger used to hit me no matter where I was, all around the driving range, endlessly. And Azinger had these like Stinger 2-irons, and he used to, like, you'd be 20 yards away from him and he'd be like smashing balls into you. Yeah, much to their amusement.
The first range I worked at was the same, picking the balls up. And, you know, you get hit by a few, it's funny. By the end of half an hour.
Yeah, it gives you like, and it makes quite a lot of noise. So, yeah. Payne Stewart, lovely man, very, very, very sadly missed. Big hugs to him. So, driving range scene. Had a lot of people just kind of sitting up there watching the action. So here we go, one of our young amateur players. That is Gordon Sargent.
Yeah, if out on the course and certainly on the range, if you do get to have a look at this young man hit the ball, it is incredibly impressive. Like, already he'll be probably the longest person in the field this week, and he can get a ball flight which is a little bit lower, a little bit more drilly, stays on top of it. Like, if he could hit some absolute monsters this week.
Yeah, he is the #1 amateur in the world.
Have you seen him hit yet?
Oh, it's insane, isn't it? It's just like it's just an explosion at the ball.
There are a few players out there when you do kind of have a wander down the range, you notice that there's a real difference in the way that they strike it. And
yeah, I'd tell you this is like a young Rory McIlroy, right? Kind of the same kind of like, wow, that was different. So kind of off a strong, hard grip, kind of hold hands. It's like, it's funny, isn't it? if the hands are soft, the legs tend to be more stable. If the hands are hard, the legs tend to be more active. There has to be a blend in those, that combination. So have a look at this. Plenty of time in the gym, I would say.
It's just like it's a wide backswing, and then there is that shallow, and then the turn and the impact into the ball is so solid, it's so strong, it's so fast.
Yeah. It is interesting to see so many different grips now, don't we? You used to always have, like, you know, the classic grip. You knew if you didn't have a good grip, you weren't considered to be a proper golfer. Now, totally changed. So young men who look as though they could play American football are now playing golf. Plenty of power, Peter.
It'd be great to see him get his driver out. But I suppose they need to go through their warm-up.
This is a little interesting drill there. So just sort of putting the ball back behind it there, keeping that takeaway low, maybe trying to get the body to be more the engine, not the hands. So from Vanderbilt University, Tennessee, absolutely fantastic golf facility it is now. Amazing, some of the golf facilities in a college golf. I think that's why college golf's almost become such a major part of the game. You have to get yourself into those programs. There's been very few. Rory McIlroy just kind of missed it. He went straight into the tour, but he was exceptional. But it just seems as though you need those 3-4 years with that kind of, you know, the ability to hit that many balls under that kind of quality to get this good.
Yeah, and it's competition as well. I mean, the college system now is so flush with really good golfers that you're up against them every single week, and you know, competition just breeds, you know, better golf. It breeds better players, and the fact is, like you mentioned, the facilities in the States as well they are absolutely superb.
They are amazing. I mean, like, you know, if you can dream of it, it's there. And it's interesting, and these two guys, I mean, Gordon Sargent was twice overtaken by Ludwig Åberg in college as the #1 player. So, but he, in August, when the Mark McCormack medal is awarded, it was Sargent who was the #1, and he got into the US Open, and he got into this tournament here as well, the 152nd Open. So lots of different ways. I think that's part of the good way that the RNA have organized this, is there's lots of different ways to get the best players into these competitions early. Another part of sort of the strategy that the RNA has to grow the game, and here he is, the #1 amateur in the world. So amazing scenes from the range. It is much more full now, and down there somewhere is Di Stewart.
Another picture on the wall.
Oh, thank you very much, Simon. On the range with Claude Harmon III and Rick Shields. Rick, we've just had a quick coffee. We've dashed to Claude. You've been speaking about the incredible studio that Claude has in, where is it?
In Florida.
Yeah.
At my dad's golf school that I run down in Jupiter, and yeah, all good.
Can we come and have a free lesson?
Do you have Venmo?
No.
I accept all major credit cards.
There we go. Yes, you're not cheap, I know, and you're brilliant at what you do. Tell us, how many guys have you got here this week?
Just Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka this week, and you know.
I like how you just say just. Well, just those guys.
I mean, they're awful.
Well, they can be at times, but Links Golf, they both love Links Golf. It's a tournament they'd love to win, and you know, having won the other majors, DJ being a Masters champion and a US Open champion, and you know, Brooks is desperate to win an Open championship. He loves his type of golf. He loves the test, and you know, hopefully we get, if it could just stay like this weather-wise, it'd be amazing.
It's going to stay like this.
He seems to love major golf tournaments, and I love this kind of philosophy he has around actually eliminating certain players. 150 players in the field, but how many does he actually think he has to compete against this week?
One thing that, whether you like it or not, Brooks has, an enormous amount of confidence. And as a coach, you'd much rather work with a player that has that type of confidence than a player that kind of isn't really, I don't know if I can do it and stuff like that. So, having 5 majors and kind of having a big run of majors in a very short period of time, he really does like the test that major golf presents. I think the better the player, Rick, the harder the test they want. They want the test to be hard. They don't want the golf course to be set up easy. And I think that's one of the reasons why Brooks has been so successful in the majors is he likes them to be hard. But I think the other thing is he expects to hit bad shots. He knows he's going to hit bad shots. And I think that's a big it's hard to do that mentally, but to win major championships, to play in major championship, it's managing chaos, and Brooks really kind of likes that part of it. Some guys do and some guys don't, but he does.
We've got DJ just here behind us hitting. What are you working on with players this week? Di just asked me before, what do these players need to change or tweak? There'll be equipment tweaks, there'll be some adjustments. Technically, you doing anything with these players massively different this week going into the Open?
No, I think we're always just kind of, a lot of what my job is, hopefully when I'm at these tournaments, we're not really saying a lot. Hopefully they're playing good and they kind of know what they need to do. As a coach, you're kind of a second pair of eyes. They can't see themselves. They all have kind of their own DNAs and their own kind of swing sequences that are unique to them. But the similarities between Brooks and DJ, because they do have so much power and they do have so much speed, it's not kind of sexy today. Nobody like yourself is making Instagram videos on setup and alignment and grip. But when their ball position and their setup and their alignment gets, out of whack, they can really start to hit the golf ball poorly. So when they do hit the golf ball poorly and they're not swinging well, believe it or not, 9 times out of 10, it's set up. It's the ball position's out, the alignment's out, their shoulders are out. And so last week at Valderrama on Live for both Brooks and DJ, we worked a lot on their setup, and we know we're going to be playing in a lot of wind this week. And that's the other thing, Rick, that I think is tough in Open Championships. Your posture can get all over the place because you're playing in wind. You can start getting too far away from it, too close to it. You can just kind of get your head buried, and then it messes up the shoulder turn. So, just always the same stuff with those guys. Basics, making sure the club stays, in front of them going back and back in front of them coming down. They both like to fade the golf ball, so that's kind of what they do when they play their best.
Is this a golf course that can be overpowered? Obviously the 2 guys you're talking about there, DJ and Brooks, are long hitters of the golf course. Do their strategy play into a golf course like this? Can they overpower the golf course, or do they need to hit a lot of long irons into position?
I think a lot of it, the test here at the Open Championship is always the weather, and everything you do from a strategy standpoint is weather dependent. So if you're on the good side of the draw, you could get a morning where it's like this and it's light breeze and it's not raining, and then the wind could switch in the afternoon. So if you get an afternoon tee time and you could be playing in 20, 30 mile an hour wind and have the hood on and the gloves on, and then the guys in the morning got it easy. So I think everyone is always here kind of fingers crossed. You hope you get the right side of the draw, because rarely do we get 4 days where the weather is the same for everyone in the field.
Yeah, we saw it in 2016, didn't we? When if you're on the wrong side of the draw, you had absolutely no chance, and Stenson was brilliant. Do you think we'll see 20 under par over the next few days?
As good as these players are, I think with all the, it's been easy over the last 2 or 3 years to talk about all the things that are wrong with the professional game right now. But I think from a playing standpoint and from a player standpoint, I think the game is in an amazing place right now. We are seeing some amazing players, the run that Scottie Scheffler's on. We're seeing young players come through. We're seeing young players win. I think it's been great to watch players like Matthew Pavon come over from DP World and win on the PGA Tour. So the politics of golf, that's for other people to decide. But I think right now, I think the game is in a very good place from a playing standpoint. I think the golf Bryson played at the U.S. Open, the golf that Rory's been playing. Bob McIntyre, what a great story. He's won in the U.S. now. He wins the Scottish Open being Scottish. So I think it's easy to say that what's wrong with professional golf today, but I see a lot of positives, and I think there are a lot of great players doing a lot of great things.
Listen, we literally love listening to you. My goodness. Can you come and chat to us later on? We're on air till 6 o'clock. Love your podcast as well, Son of Butch podcast. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Claude, and we'll speak to you later.
Good to see you.
Great stuff. We'll head out to George. He's out and about. George.
Thanks, pal.
George Harper Jr. and this week I am your man on the ground. I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes and getting all the interviews with your favourite golfers in the world. Now come with me. This is what it's all about, showing you around, showing where these players have to come to enter Royal Troon. Forged by nature, you can feel that breeze coming up. And no, I'm not just taking you to the beachfront. As stunning as it is, welcome to the first tee at the 152nd Open here at Royal Troon. The sun is shining, the breeze, the sea breeze is picking up, and look at this. This will soon be filled with so many fans as we get closer to Thursday. A beautiful little 366-yard par 4. Wind traditionally coming straight off the back of these golfers over their right shoulder. But you can just feel the atmosphere. It's great to be out of the commentary box and on the ground, on the links turf. I feel so comfortable out here. Oh, it's firm, it's beautiful. There'll be a lot of two-iron stingers off this tee as the week goes on. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try and manoeuvre my way around this course, really sneak in behind the ropes and get you all the best interviews you like. Look at this. Scotland is absolutely turning it on. Oh, and you never know who you're going to bump into on the first. But you missed your tee time.
I thought it was 11:40.
You thought it was 11:40. Welcome back. How are you, mate?
Great.
Happy to be back at the Open?
Yeah, especially when the sun's out.
It's not normal in Scotland here, is it?
No, it's pretty bright.
Yeah, it's beautiful. How's your year been, Ricky?
A bit underwhelming, not so good. So links golf sometimes brings out the best, so I'm hoping for a little change of events here.
I'm sure we can. How much do you like the looks of Royal Troon so far as you step foot on the first tee?
It's a good spot. It's, you know, especially with the normal wind, kind of maybe step on the gas a bit going out and then hold on coming in.
That's what we love to see. Well, Russell Henley's teed off without you, so you might have to do some catching up. But we'll catch up properly later in the week, my boy. I was just doing my opening piece and, you know, you've rudely interrupted, but that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I'll get back to it. So there you have it. That's what I'm going to be doing all week. We're going to bump into the best players in the world and some great personalities as well. So, guys, from me here at the first tee, we'll see you after the lunch break with more stories to come.
On the tee. She's staring this one down, and for good reason. Look at this. Just delightfully done. She's on top of the world. Going directly at the hole. Tell you what, go on. Oh, get in there.
There's something about the AIG Women's Open.
Oh, my goodness.
There's no way I should be here. I should be dead or in prison. I mean, how else would you gauge this? And a guy comes off of a cotton farm, you know, to become one of golf greats? Are you kidding me?
He hit the flagstick, and the crowd erupts.
He just stormed onto the scene.
And he has put it in again.
He's a magician.
He's got it.
I never had any dreams about going on tour. I didn't know anything about it.
His story's amazing. His journey's amazing.
What a great shot.
We were poor. We needed money to buy food.
Beat Trevino, a 28-year-old drug broke.
Didn't belong. I knew I didn't belong.
It was unbelievable.
And he put up with a lot.
That past is so painful to him.
I would like to forget it, to tell you the truth.
Our culture has a short memory, and I think it's time for us to be reintroduced to the Dreamino.
I'm playing for my life out here, you know?
It is the American dream.
Why, oh, why?
He hustled the world.
So we're on the driving range, which is definitely warming up. We saw Ricky Fowler. He missed his tee time, but everyone else, I think, just getting it ready before they go out. Tiger Woods is out there. Scottie Scheffler went out with Sam Burns. just to have a first look, and it is a beautiful day, Peter Finch. This is at the 152nd. Please scan that QR code and get yourself entered for the 153rd. That is going to be at Royal Portrush, which is going to be amazing to blend the best golf tournament in the world, the Open Championship, with Irish hospitality. You can't beat that combo.
Sorry.
Peter has been just having a little bit under the weather there. That is Matt Fitzpatrick with, I would say, Mike Walker.
Yep.
In the yellow, with the yellow ribbon around him there. That's his entry badge. Mike Walker works with Pete Cowan, but what a team they were with Billy Foster. That was a great US Open, wasn't it? I mean, that putt that Zalatoris had going down the hill, I thought he'd made that.
Oh, I think everybody thought he'd made that, Will included, but it was a US Open victory, which is definitely one I'll remember for a long time, just because of the shot that he hit, kind of going into the 18th out of that bunker. It was a shot that deserved to win a tournament.
It was astonishing, wasn't it? So that little team looking to add the Open to the US Open. That's a lovely combo, isn't it? There's not many of those.
Yeah, I might have to ask Mike exactly what is going on in between Matt's feet there, but
you always got a good couple of toys. We can ask him. We can send him a message. So Mike Walker is coaching Laurie Cantor, Jordan Smith, Henrik Stenson and Fitzy this week. So I would say that's probably to try and stabilize that left leg, to kind of keep it there so it doesn't leap too far forward.
Yeah, just a slight nudge on the backswing there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's even got little wheels. Oh, that's nice.
Let's send Mike a message and see if he reacts.
Yeah, I must admit, that is a new one. I've not seen that one before. Homemade. I think with Matt, since that US Open win, a few people are expecting him to kick on a little bit more. He's not quite fulfilled those heights again, but he's a quality player and a fantastic putter as well.
Yeah, you know what? I just think it was a really gutsy performance, and especially around Brookline, where he was so comfortable. It was almost like he arrived with the idea that this is actually my week. I'm more prepared for this than anyone else. And I mean, he has made enormous changes to his game. I mean, I think he's worked so much on the biomechanics. He's worked so much on the sequencing, the gaining of speed. He recognized that that was probably maybe a bit of a weakness for him when the game has moved into where that can't be your weakness. And he's added a lot of ball speed, as much ball speed as anyone I know at that level.
Absolutely. I'm surprised that T20th is his best Open finish, though. He strikes me as a type of golfer that would fare very well around links, but...
And maybe this links, you know, it is interesting. If I was thinking of this links compared to the other ones, and if you think about how many Americans have won this, it means that it must be like not that funky for the Americans to come over and do what they've done.
I mean, every time I've come away from like playing here and an event here, I've always thought it's fair. Like, it's a very fair links course. Like the fairways do have some undulations, and the fairway bunkers do have like quite large catchment areas at times, but if you hit it into the middle of the fairway, there's really not that many occasions where it's going to kick off into some crazy lie. The greens, there's a few slopes, but they're not silly. You know, they're quite subtle in some respects.
So is there one skill that you think, Peter, you know, is the tee shot going to be the thing that separates people this week?
This week it's driving. If you hit your driver well, you hit your tee shots well, you're going to be set up in some really good chances. The front nine for these guys it's not easy, but as far as a major championship goes, if the wind is down and off the right, they're going to be tearing the front nine apart and then just trying to survive on the back.
Yeah, we were out sort of looking at the you know, not the sort of, let's suppose it kind of starts the home run. The 10th is kind of a funky hole, with sort of like everyone having a go at sort of hitting it as far as possible.
Yeah.
But like starting from 11, there's a lot of opportunities to leak shots there. So this is quite an in-depth chat here between these two lads. See if we can hear what they say. Well, maybe we'll rejoin those guys once there's a little bit more action and not so much chat, and find a former champion golfer of the year and senior player who was out yesterday chatting away, holding court, I would say, as we pass Pavon catching a lesson. Pete Cowan there in the black, and Harrington, of course.
It's very rare you get to Harrington on the range and he's just hitting a normal shot. He's always doing something.
Yeah. Well, was his nickname not Inspector Gadget for a while? He certainly held, as far as I can remember, sort of the most toys. Now, Pete Cowan loading the shoulders.
Yeah, it was interesting. Did some filming and play with Podrick earlier in the year, and just to spend that kind of time with him and to try and unpack just some of the knowledge that he has, that he's built up over the years, is absolutely fascinating. The way he goes about golf, the way he approaches it, the never-ending appetite to seemingly always want to improve, and just to keep that hunger and that desire to practice and to grind. You know, now he's on the seniors tour and he's winning, you know, senior majors as well, and he's gaining speed. That's probably the most surprising thing.
Yeah.
You know,
well, he's never hit it. He's 51. He's 51, and he's never hit it further than he hits it now.
There was a few times when we played, and we were both hitting driver. Excuse me.
Peter just clearing a hairball. A hairball there.
Yeah, there's a few times when we were both hitting driver, and I hit it pretty decent, and he hit one, and he was up with me, and I was like, you know, I was a bit necky there, Podrick. You know, I didn't quite catch that. I didn't quite catch it, and I was like, oh my God, like this guy is seriously shifting the golf club. And the way he goes about it in his practice swings, he takes this massive step onto his left foot, clears his side, swings through as hard as possible.
So, cack-handed. That's an interesting drill. I wonder what that gives you the feeling for, just how your left side works through the ball a bit more. Oh, that's with he's hit a shot with that. The tinkerer. The tinkerer and the coach.
I mean, that shows something. He's just popped it out there, dead straight, 150 yards.
So that's left-handed with the step.
150. Well, he's literally better cross-handed than me, than I am normally. What a guy, what a player.
Podrick Harrington, yeah, amazing player. So we can head down, I think, now to Matt Fitzpatrick, who we saw with a little device in the ground. And Mike Walker, bless him, has responded to say, he's still typing. So let's have a look. So this is to stop his left pelvis, left leg coming forward too much in the backswing. So it's a sort of a left leg stabilizer, which is you know, keeping that knee a little bit more, left knee a little bit more braced, sort of like pinning that left knee. So if the left knee comes across, it kind of releases the hip a little bit too much. So
I think it depends on the individual swing, individual players, and I think with Matt, if that left knee is kind of moving, there we go. There's a English major champions there, yeah, with his left knee, if that comes in a little bit too much with his swing, I imagine that's going to bring his left kind of hip down, that's going to throw his right hip high, probably a little bit reverse
just a
pivot.
bit too much drifty, yeah. So just trying to stabilise it there, keep that left knee kind of over his left foot a little bit, and then use that, so stabilise your left leg and let your right leg be a bit more dynamic, perhaps. So it's amazing, isn't it? It's the Monday of a major, and I mean, amateur golfers at home think the tour players never really don't have any swing thoughts. Just don't have a swing thought in your head. Think about your dog. Look at this. I mean, there's like, it's a toy shop in that place, isn't it? It's absolutely a toy shop. There it is.
Must have the feeling. The
backswing stabilizer, and now Mike Walker and Matt Fitzpatrick, just to see, can I do it without the drill? That's the key. Here you can see.
Well, I think with most golfers, when they get out onto the golf course here, not thinking about a swing thought is potentially one of the hardest things to do. And even these very best players in the world, sometimes they just want something that they can get a feeling of.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Nick Faldo, for example, always needed 2 swing thoughts, so like as a rhythm. So something in the backswing, something in the downswing. So it could have been like, sometimes it was thumbs up in the backswing, thumbs up in the downswing. All sorts of different things just to match them up. So Fitzpatrick. Just working hard. So trying to hold that left knee over that left toe a little bit more. Just stabilize, use the lower body as a stabilizer. You can see really releasing that body forward. And in great spirits.
Yeah. Who knew? Great training. With something like that as well, you're not only an inch or inch and a half of difference, like feeling wise, could actually be quite a lot. So.
Oh yeah, I think so. So let's have a chat with Di Stewart.
Cool. So yeah, have you learned anything? Sort of, yeah. What have you picked? What have you picked up from the range?
Loads.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Oh, I'm just taking my hat off, actually, Rick, because I want to catch a few more rays before we finish our show, and then we're back this afternoon, 2 until 6 o'clock. Rick, we've been here for a couple of hours. I've been here actually since 6 a.m. Wow. I know you're a bit of a part-timer, but what have you learned from the range? What have you picked up? What nuggets?
I've learned how relaxed and chilled everyone is right now.
Yes.
Like
everyone's ready to have a talk, aren't they?
And I think because it's a Monday and everyone's kind of probably just arriving in today, there's just into the ground conditions, hitting a few balls, going playing a bit of golf. The one thing I've not seen loads of is any wacky training aids or any drills really. A lot of people are just kind of either got the launch monitors out, they're doing a little bit of alignment check, they're speaking to the caddies, the coaches, the potential tour representatives, for different manufacturers. But everyone seems super chilled. As you'll see through the rest of the week, that won't stay the same, and you'll know this from previous range
it gets very serious as the days go by. I just saw so many storylines here and so many different ways to qualify for the Open Championship. Jasper Stubbs, he just walked off. He qualified down under, and we've got 12 amateurs in the field as well.
So good.
So who knows what scores are going to be out there? They're all going to be wanting to climb up that leaderboard, make a charge early doors on Thursday. As we say, we don't really know what the weather's going to be like. So many spectators already and fans. The players have been signing autographs. And if Kev, our cameraman, can go back a little bit further and then pan to his right, you can see all the children waiting for their flags to be signed. Look, give us a wave, everyone. Can they give us a wave?
You're on TV.
All golf fans. There they are.
Yeah.
Don't forget to send in your tweets, I should say. # the Open Range if you want to ask any questions.
Are you excited for the Open?
Yeah, there's Jasper.
100%.
Kev, our cameraman's got Jasper Stubbs. And where are you guys
course I
From
can.
Troon?
2 seconds once I finish
I'm
on
from
there.
Troon.
Oh, wonderful. And do you love golf?
Yes.
Great stuff. Who are you cheering for, guys? Anyone in particular?
I don't know.
Oh, all of them. All of them. Really great to see you. Try and get... How many autographs have you got?
I've got 4.
You've got
Very
4.
good.
Yeah. Great stuff.
But this has got his Royal Troon T-shirt on,
Love
representing.
it. Well, thank you. We're going to be back at 2 o'clock. We're going to keep going up and down the range, but we'll see you at 2 o'clock. From all of us, don't forget to send those questions in. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for having me.